Time at the G, we've got Essendon taking on the Richmond Tigers. Should be an absolute fantastic game here this evening. Oh, I tell you what, folks, big occasion, one of the big games on the calendar, of course. Indigenous round Dream time at the MCG. It's going to be a cracking game, that is for sure. We try and get this nice and straight and level for everyone out there. All right, I think that's about right, isn't it? That's about right. That'll do, I think. And we can all watch the game, listen to the game. There we go. Fantastic. All right, folks. We're only a couple of minutes away from the start of this big game here. Let me just, before we get on, let's have a look on the ladder and see where these two teams sit. Of course, Richmond sitting down there in the 16th position, played 10, 3 wins, 7 losses, sitting on 12 points. I tell you what, this would be a big scope if they could get up over Essendon here. They certainly need this because Essendon up there in 10th position, played 9. They've got that game in hand, remember, 1-5, lost 4. So if Essendon win this, they'll jump up into the top 8 after tonight's game. The ins and outs for both teams, of course, for the Bombers. Gresham coming in, Clark and Goofy coming in, going out. I tell you what, here's some big outs. Dylan Shield, Sadhu Hwali and Day Weeks going out. Clark is the new player. The sub is Ben Hobbs. And, of course, the milestone for the Bombers. Angus Clark, his debut game for the Tigers. Blue Mountains, Australia. How you going? Hey, Emmanuel. How you going? What's going on, Squire? What's happening? For the Tigers, Campbell Gray coming in. Samson Ryan. Morris Rioli. I tell you what, there's a big in Rioli on Dream Time at the G game. Going out, though, have a look at these. Wowee. That's going to make it tough for the Tigers. Noel Bolter going out. He's a strength down back. Tom Lynch, the spearhead down forward. And, of course, Toby Nankervis, the ruckman. My gosh, what's going on? Those outs are just huge for Richmond. Morris Rioli is the sub. Wow, I tell you what, this is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be a tough game for the Tigers. I didn't realise that those players were out. Wow. Let me just put it there for a second. There we go. Holy moly, that's some big outs for the Tigers. What do you reckon? I didn't expect those players to be out. I'll just try and just shuffle that over a little bit. I just want to try and get that scoreboard a little bit straighter on screen for everyone. There we go. That's about right there. And we are just about to get into the action here. I tell you what, it's going to be fantastic. As I said, dream time at the G. It's one of those games that everyone's always looking forward to. So it should be an absolute ripper. I'm going to stick the poll up. Who's going to win? Now, let me just put that down there. I'll just say g'day in the chat. Formally, there we go. Let me put the poll up. Who wins tonight's game? Is it going to be Essendon, Richmond? All right, don't forget that. There we go. We've started the poll. Don't forget to put your vote in who you think's going to win, because it's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game. Emmanuel, what's going on? How you been? What's happening? Tell you what, the footy. Did you watch the footy last night? It was a pretty good game. Of course, Geelong getting up over the Bulldogs, 127-113. It was absolutely fantastic there. Hopefully we're going to be in for another good game here tonight. It should be pretty good. As I said, those outs, those outs for Richmond, they're really big outs. I'll tell you what, it's going to give the new younger players a bit of a chance to shine, see what they're made of tonight. But they're just going through a little bit of the Indigenous dance with the didgeridoo there. Maybe we can give a little bit of a listen in. All right, let's give a little bit of a listen in while I get this set up.
What a stage for such a performance, and it ends with the teams of both sides arm in arm, and we are set to go. What an occasion, Gary Lyon. It's so great to be here to see it firsthand.
Spectacular, the drama, being out on the ground and see Michael Long walking around with the end of the long walk there was sensational. Now we get down to the business of playing this game of footy, and there's a lot at stake for the Essendon Footy Club, I think, Chase. I mean, the Richmond boys go out there with their expectations pretty well set, I think. You know, when you lose players of Nankervis and Lynch, I'm not saying it gives them a free hit at it, but I reckon Adamuze can sit back and wind them up and say, hey, boys, we've got nothing to lose here. Whereas coming off a 91-point beating, there is no result other than win for Essendon right now.
No, I think the burden of proof, the pressure is all on the Bombers' shoulders. Because, as you say, if you take out key players, key role players like Nankervis, the skipper and number one ruckman, your fullback and your full forward, Lynch and Bolter, who are experienced big bodies, leaders on field, well, that's left gaping holes in the Tigers lineup. But they will just play with sheer passion and enthusiasm because there's kids out there getting an opportunity that want to make their mark in the game. The team they're playing, well, they had a mare last week. They had one they'd rather forget. And the only way to erase that is to come out here tonight and do what most people expect them to do, and that's have a nice, strong, comfortable win. But it's easier said than done. And what we have seen already this year is if your attitude is slightly askew, or if your commitment to effort and following through on everything you need to do is slightly off, you get punished.
The gift's being carried out into the middle, so Essendon will hand over the ruse skin, which has been wood-burned and hand-painted, protection, unity, and heading into the march. And the Tigers are reciprocating with the fire stick that represents a continuous thread of ancient knowledge through songlines and story, and the Mansell family in Tasmania have crafted this.
So it's just a head and a tail. Richmond call. All right, away you go. Tails is the call. There's the tail.
Special night for Ryan Mansell, as we've discussed already, with his father and grandfather designing Indigenous jumper.
Did you hear? I loved Brad Scott. I don't know whether you boys heard the interview we did with him. The way he described Angus Clark, that young debutant who's wearing number 38, that had everyone, all the boys on the panel there, and a big smile on their face. So I think it all took us back to our first game, Chase. And I watched him run down the race. He is jumping out of his skin, that young man. So that's on the Essendon side. There's plenty of them on the Richmond side, so there's lots of youth out there.
And it's interesting, they say he comes from the same territory as Mason Redmond, but he's very much in the same vein as a player, a rebounding defender with a penetrating kick that loves to get on the charge. So a lot to look forward to.
So that was Lockie Hill, the proud Yorta man with a didgeridoo. Sounding there's a bit of talent, a bit of height that the Tigers don't have. We had Adam Briggs setting the stage, the rapper with some legendary support, and then the Will Shakespeare's, the dance we saw before. And it has set the scene for Dreamtime at the G.
Sammy Lawler's out of the goal square, playing the Dusty Martin out of the goal square role.
80,000 people or close to. Wait for the bounce, and Samson Run has got a free kick. Probably will only his second game as the number one ruckman for the Tigers. And he sends the young Richmond team in deep. Lawler comes out of the goal square. And McGrath is wrapped up quickly. Not penalised. Campbell, who we've seen kick terrific goals, but his pressure came to the fore straight away, and help from young Sims also. Ryan fisting forward. It's not going to go too much closer to goal.
He was very lucky, McGrath, with that first one. He had the opportunity. He feigned a hand pass and then hung on to it.
Now, both ruckmen didn't touch it, so that usually means we can get a bit of early ruck lotto going. And the handoff from Goldstein to McGrath, who's become a more attacking player in the last couple of weeks, starting to run and bounce the ball again. But Campbell, great. We've seen a lot of players come from the Richmond VFL. This is the reverse. He was in the Essendon VFL. A Keilor boy under Mick McGuan. He's now a Tiger playing game number 2.
Yeah, he's got Nate Caddy as well, so that's the matchup for him tonight.
Taranto's had a couple of good weeks, featuring the coaches' votes heavily. Chance to send the Tigers back inside 50. All they have, Samson and Goldstein. Bombers ruckman knocked it away. Pryor underneath clears the area. Caddy presents a long way down. Debut to this game last year. Dropped it though. Taranto wriggled clear. Changed his mind once or twice. He's gone for Lawler but left it well short.
So Lawler, as we see it out of the goal square, expect him to spend some time through the middle. Pryor's picked him up. Jonty Fall and Mackay deep now. So working out what Merritt's doing here. Just pulled away from that first stoppage and went and played half forward. Ralph Smith's got him at the moment.
Real misty feel across the MCG. Hopper couldn't receive the Ryan tap. Instead it was Goldstein, Caldwell, Roberts. Just waited an extra moment to make sure he got the handball to Durham. Here's another one that came from Richmond's VFL team. Martin, little opportunity opened up and he took it with both hands. Merritt sending it on its way. Young Clark, what a start this would be. Oh, he couldn't quite get the clean handball away. No matter. Martin's going to stroll in and kick a goal. So the Bombers take it end to end. And they get the opener.
Well, it's a great start for the Bombers. I thought he was a little unlucky, Thompson Dow. He showed good space. He chased down Clark. Laid a really good tackle. Unfortunately, the ball spilled free. And it was Nick Martin who just jumped onto the loose ball and strolled in for the easy goal. Which is the first time they've gone forward. It's been all Tigers territory to start with. But you see the quick kick will go forward here. And he starts a few metres behind. Shows really good speed. Lays a good tackle.
That's what the boos are for. You can hear in the background there, the Richmond fans weren't that impressed. They'll be thrilled with that Essendon though. They haven't even been able to chain anything up in the last 6 weeks. Been able to put a chain of possession together that results in a score.
Essendon strike first. Dream time at the G. Ruckman have each given away a free kick so far. Ryan out the side from the wing. Clark comes, didn't take possession. Taranto's busy early, slipped it across the turf. Campbell manhandled by McGrath. It cleared the way for Durham. Redman out the back as support in Merritt. Redman wanted it back. Merritt holds up. Had a long look, and now he challenges them up the line. No mark, so ground ball to be won at the back. Right one way, Ryan the other. Away. Banks clears the area momentarily, rather than Martin McGrath punching away for a throw-in.
Well, we know the Tigers had all sorts of centre bounce clearance problems last week. Strange first possession there from Taranto. Get your hands on it first and just a little hand pass to space, not to the advantage of a teammate. Need to get their hands on the ball and then turn it into an effective clearance.
Throw-in just well short. The lap of Goldstein. Challenged by Campbell immediately. The numbers multiplied. Merritt the prolonged tackle. Always on the job.
Just watching Merritt, so important. He's been down the last couple of weeks. Starts in the centre bounce and then works his way forward at the moment.
A kick down rather than a tap down. Caldwell just a few metres wide of the sliding right. And Miller to take it.
That's like 5, yep. Let's see what sort of method the Tigers are going to go for, moving their footy out of the back half here. But traditional lock down the line here.
Challenges Sims in the middle of that pack, who has the footy, worked it around Dow and Taranto. Tried the inboard kick, the ricochet will work. Full moved it on, up to half forward. Mansell trying to get a look. Right in his way was Pryor. Shoots it around. Roberts and Redmond combined. McGrath called back into duty. Roberts with the short mark.
Outside 5.
Did jump. No play on call. Inboard not without an element of risk, and the turnover threatens. Campbell had access for a moment. Caldwell made it safe for the Bombers. Dersma searches for his target up the line, and that too is wayward and close to the crowd.
Looks like Essendon are trying to be a bit more expansive coming out of the back half. I mean, that kick from Martin to go inboard at a real 50-50 is not the way they do it. They generally play really safe in their back half. So maybe it's just a sign early they're just going to try and take the game on a bit.
Miller almost a half forward. No shortage of flyers. Steely Green couldn't forge a path as we get downstairs to Sean Berger on an Eddie Betts. What a great thrill it has to have two superstars down there tonight on such an occasion. What are you seeing so far?
Well, it's pretty slippery and wet down here at the moment, so looking for teams just maybe one handball and get it going forward. Richmond's forwards are in front of us, so just looking at young Sam Laylor. Can he control that inside 50 and isolate himself and potentially take some contested marks.
Ryan very aware of Goldstein, centre field, who got the tick from the coach for his job last week on the Bont. Merritt back to a bit of height there, and Goldstein was given the cushioning by Wright. It couldn't have been a little more awkward with his kick. That's better on the second occasion, although extended as far as Broad. We've got both fists to it. Down away to McAuliffe, who was so impressive last week. High left footer. Full was manhandled. Went unwhistled again. Dow led the charge, but Perkins for the Bombers had good support from Merritt to Dersma. The path is across, and now where will it be forward? Redmond to Roberts. Well, he has to go forward. He did look behind initially, and then he kicks it a pretty unscientific way to Broad, who takes the mark on a big night.
Standing in with the leadership duties, McAuliffe.
An interesting one. Luke Traynor started on the bench. He's played all of his footy at centre half back. Essentially, he's come on and gone to Zach Reid. So he's essentially playing full forward against the impressive Reid, which is a new role for him.
Miller again forced to the long kick up the line. Ryan will have to fly almost. Does haul it in and has support at the stoppage, or at the source at least. Dow away to Hopper and up in front of Green. Took an interesting bounce and Traynor got the high contact as a result. Gives it to Hopper, so the Tigers look to break quickly to the 50. On the turn, Ross. Too neat, probably. Just had the short and the long and picked the middle and landed with Dersma.
It does make a very inexperienced tall forward line, Gaz, doesn't it?
It does, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just part of the rounding off of the experience of these young guys. Go to Zach Reid, a young man who's strung together 7, 8 really good games of footy, but he's not that much older than Traynor, so I think it's good for Muse. Find out about his squad, what they're capable of doing.
Both teams with 4 teenagers tonight. Law, the youngest for Richmond at 18. And Clark, of course, on debut. Is the baby of the baby Bombers. Short for Goldstein, again, just tapping in front. Dow, Hopper tried to challenge Merritt, but it jars clear. Caldwell, fumbles can be so costly, but we're going to see plenty of them tonight. Scooped up a little tentatively. Banks just rashes it inside 50. Reid just got disorientated for a moment. Wasn't quite sure whether he could capture it or not.
Just watching Traynor, he's still cutting his teeth here. He wasn't quite sure whether to go to Reid or peel off with Laverde's gone to pick him up now. So he's just playing genuine forward at the moment with Reid, the loose in the back half.
Lawler comes up in front of the stoppage. How they would love to have Lynch down there at the moment. Lawler held up.
Well, so much of the first quarter already played in the Tigers' front half, but they've got to find a way to convert it into a score.
Near the goal mouth, Goldstein had best position the whole way through. Gresham works it around. Roberts out the side. Caldwell to clear the area. Caddy's his targets. Well made from the sides. Good job by Gray.
And then we see Nathan Broad, the acting captain today, who just slides back, and he's the +1 behind the footy for the Richmond Footy Club. So Merritt up at the footy. Banks tries to get him when he goes forward, but he tries to create a little bit of confusion by getting up. Becomes a 5th midfielder.
Nate Caddy is the leading goal kicker for Essendon, just 11 goals. It's the lowest leading goal kicker of any team in the AFL. No 50 there.
You talk about Nathan Broad being the skipper tonight. Half of his night will be organising that defence.
Yeah.
Because, again, a lot of inexperience around him.
He's the oldest Tigers tonight at 32. Kick goes to Richard Miller, who prevailed. Get lucky, just 1 goal last week. The edge on right. Playing it back to Brown. The Tiger fans have got to know and love even more over the last fortnight. Seen it all the way. Almost gave up it behind. He's kicked it back so far to Broad.
They're not great at doing this, the Tigers, going from one end to the other, Hutto. So Essendon preying on it really hard here in a minute.
Took to the last step to get the kick away. So awkward for Miller, and they were ready to pray. And they got the crumbs. Dersma couldn't control it. Gresham back in tonight. Perkins, who is second in that goal-kicking list. Redmond from Merritt, and again back to the captain. No real rhythm to it. Ralph Smith, the goal of the year contender last week. McAuliffe off to the milestone man of last week. McIntosh's kick is wide. It's not particularly handsome. Pryor just stabs it forward, and ask a decent question about exactly what he was trying to do.
Well, you look really long, and you see Cameron Peter Ryan are kicking halfway. So someone's got to get up.
That's just getting punished, right? Because still there because he missed the target by so far.
Ralph Smith with the resulting free kick gives the Tigers a look at half forward. They set themselves. Sim had a fly. Redmond underneath. Worked it away to Pryor. Hurries it outside the defensive area. Right handled it well, low down. Blind kick though. Again, face favoured Broad. Miller's across the face of goal. Broad will be determined not to give up so much ground in this defensive area as the last time through. And Smith, who played as the sub last week, starts tonight. Backward, Miller. Brought out the far side is now manned by Kako.
This is hard work, Jared. This is labour-intensive stuff here for the Tigers. Coming out of the back.
Banks runs to create something and into open space. His full measure and delivers beautifully.
Right here.
Trainer gets his look as a forward. Didn't slip the hand pass back to Banks. Instead he kicks it out to Sims.
So on a fast break like that, they decide whether they just go to the one-on-one. They had one-on-ones ahead of the footy.
Sims on the 45 for Ross. A lot of defenders have got back. There'll be a softening of the kick into the pocket. Green was behind. Taranto in the pocket. Onto the boot. Wobbles it. Floats it. That's it. No. Tim Taranto with one of his best.
He's looking up at the scoreboard for replay because he can't believe it. I thought it was pushed as he kicked it. It might be an assist to the pressure player that's actually pushing as he kicks the ball because that's gone through from an impossible angle. But I love the fact they finally got some reward. I love Sam Banks. His run off halfback's been so good since going back to halfback off that wing, but he's getting tackled. Sure, he's just trying to screw it back, isn't he?
I think he was centering it, Jason. No, he wasn't. He was having a look at it. That's a great reward for their best ball movement of the night.
And that was Banks driven.
Yeah, and they went from one end to the other. They were able to hit someone on the lead and went from D50 to forward 50, which is hard work. And tipped around, I can't believe it. Just looking up and going, what happened? A little bit of excitement into the game, which it needed.
Well, he is predominantly a handballer, and his kicking has been questioned, I think rightfully so. He's always had the knack to kick a goal or two, and he's done it there. He's one of best and fairest at two clubs. Hacked forward by Martin, inside 50. Langford, Miller. Langford lost his feet. Broad can handball it forward to Miller as a result. Also a clear passage out of there, but you could see what he was trying to do. It got to McIntosh. He was surrounded by bombers. Fancy hands to find the call, and then back again. McIntosh beyond the wing. Fall came late, but just in time to create the contest. Fell to the Bombers' favour. He's able to get it across to Clark, who goes into it. Kako takes the mark as they filter back into the forward 50. Right, leading more laterally to give him a realistic option. He goes longer than that to the square. Durs, McCaddy, all in the air. Where are the smalls? There wasn't really enough of them from an Essendon point of view. Durham and Langford try to sort it out. And Perkins won't find any exit on that. So a goal.
8-2 clearances in favour of the Bombers here, so a little danger. 25 metres out, stoppage.
Right to ruck for the Bombers. Sims did pretty well to get it out the back. Brown with a clearing hand pass. Campbell's working in defence. Checks his kick up the line. Needs it to sit. Laverde's coming the other way. Ross couldn't arrive in time. And Durs with the Bombers done it out well. Redmond. A lot of yellow gurns ahead inboard, not without risk. It arrives for Martin.
A couple of times I've looked at that kick inside 50, wanting to be a little bit more adventurous.
Perkins, dabs, not great. McIntosh saw it coming and he'll receive it from full. Taranto's working down there as well. That mucked it up the Tigers. Perkins away to Roberts and now to Clark, who's gone for a right. Just a hand in there from Miller. Thwarted the effort. Sims with a hand pass. Needs a bit of support. Great tackle late by Gresham, goes unrewarded. Taranto scooped it in, worked it on, and Ralph Smith got caught with it.
Both teams haven't been particularly good starters. The Bombers 3 and 6, and Richmond 2 and 8. The coach was very disappointed in their opening quarter last week against North Melbourne. Perkins just rushed it, then hoped. Broad, the greasy ball got him. Caddy tried to get him as well. Brown, and they fumble it through. Gray. Job done from a defensive point of view.
They had clearance problems last week, the Tigers. Tigers that started again this week, 9-3, the clearances in Essendon's favour.
Kevin Chitty would be well pleased with what he's given the league in this night. Floston attacking into centre field. Ross. Now the Tigers trust and break. Ross holds for a moment. Can roll with nobody up ahead of the mark. Delivers wide. Tries to set them up for a look. Skidding kick from Green is cut off. Reed with footy in hand has grown into his game pronouncedly in the past few weeks. Centre field, into the middle, Durham, link-up run comes from Roberts, polarising star class, Langford's his targets, should have held on probably, underneath needs support, Dersma kept it going, Broad was having none of it, bounced out of a tight spot, Campbell's got to go, and go he does, to take the sliding mark.
Long way from home, can they piece this together? Taranto in no hurry, and then he realised that Ross was in the clear, and maybe they can be creative and keep it moving. The hesitation cost him, not as dearly as it might. Back to Campbell, who kept on coming to receive from McAuliffe. His kick is just tossed up rather aimlessly out on the foot.
Well, I just watched all those three forwards. So Lawler, Trainer, Sims, probably Jonty Fool as well. None of them read the pressure. When you're under pressure like that, you've got to make it easy for the bloke with the footy. They all sat back thinking, oh no, they'll be able to get through here.
Boy, well, McIntosh did read the kick from Zach Reed, and it's hard going in the coach's box when you see that kick taken.
You spoke earlier, Gaz, about those kicks they're looking to hit the corridor with, aren't they? They're taking risks.
They are, and this is the only way that you're going to get a mark inside 50 at the moment, because there's been 15 kicks inside 50 on both sides. 3 of them have been retained today. So if you can't get them off your own teammate, you've got to pitch them off the others.
There was headbands galore at the MCG last week as he celebrated his 200th game in style with 2 goals. So he's in goal kicking form, Campbell McIntosh. You wouldn't believe that though, would you?
Great ball, Hunter.
The side of the kick is great. Puts it over the boundary line.
That's just a shank. Straight off the outside of the boot.
Yeah, that is hard work there.
Boundary throw in. Bombers by a point. Beyond the halfway mark of this opening term. Ryan to the front. Nobody really there to row for him though. Trainer pursues to the boundary. They're all set up again. Bombers have won the past 2 dream times. Richmond a long winning streak before that. Right to the front, works it down, centre field and Durham combine. He'll clear the area with a long ball. Missed on the spoil, Smith and set can't go into space as a result. Links it up to Perkins, kicks it to centre field's poor. Dow has first access. Floston gives a lot of ground to Broad. With a long way home from there. He comes out the near side to Gray.
Some of the disposals just hard to believe. What you're seeing here.
That was one of the longest backward handballs I think I've ever seen too.
Well, they clearly know that he's the full back. It's the backstop rather, and they go back to him whenever they need.
Ansell down the line, predicted well by Mackay and Reed. Knocking to the front, this is Fall and Redmond and Perkins getting down and dirty, starting to scrap it out. Hopper doesn't mind that.
Did well, Johnny Fall, because he had no crummers forward of the contest. He had to crumb it himself. Managed to force the stoppage.
Ryan thought he could grab it and give, and he did to McAuliffe. So the hands and knee through Hopper, and then down the line from Green. Ansell whacked it forward, kept it in. Sims then was under serious heat, and he puts it down.
Let's see whether Essendon try and pick off that kick again, Jace.
He's looking.
Yeah, he was looking. And that's it.
That's it.
A more secure path to McGrath. You can hear the crowd get a bit of energy. Couple of bounces from the captain. Let's make it 3. Crosses the wing. Sends the handball wide forward. Young Clark again. Extends himself. Watch out for Kako at the front. Broad at the back. Langford. Kako. To try and ignite the Bombers. McGrath sneaking forward, but then he fumbled his chance. It was Ralph Smith and Brown. And now Trainer who takes the mark. And the Tigers steady, so both sides failing to take their opportunities.
Ralph Smith went herring forward and he was honoured, so he's the ball controller. He sets it up for Mansell in the one-on-one with Redmond. Ball to the back, Mansell trying to scurry underneath. Redmond kept him off it, Reed to clear, and he finds Darrow. Setterfield. Stays out wide for Durham. Best advertisement there is for the coming mid-season drafts next week. Martin up the line. Wealthy first game of the season. Off to Dursma. Put a neat step on. Over the top of Kako, and he won't get back to it.
So both sides can't find a target inside forward 50 for love nor money. So 20 inside 50s combined. There's been one mark in the forward 50, and they've taken 6 marks from opposition Richmond. So the ball use going forward generally has been pretty horrible, but particularly when you go inside forward 50.
Great intercept mark from Tom Brown. I think we're going to see a lot of those over the years. He reads the play well.
Brown to Gray. Hands it off to Hopper. Can he get his footing to get enough on the kick? He could, but just pulled it a fraction.
Everything's just a little bit messy, isn't it? They've got themselves in the contest at times.
The exasperation of both coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it every game, every week, but it's a good process.
So at one end of the ground, Essendon are just kicking to opposition numbers, and at the other end, Richmond's forwards just can't present.
Reed's gone for Dursma. Foster made sure he didn't mark. Wealthy brought Foster down, but he never has.
So they're all kids, Sims and Falls, so we're not being uber critical, and Trainer as well. So they're all just young kids, but right now they're just all at sea. So they'll give you a genuine contest, that's what they will do.
So let's see how they go this time. Fall tried to slap it to ground. McGrath is there. That's a hurried kick. Kako pretty good with the hands. Worked it in close to Durham. Shot it around to Dursma. It's a blind kick though out of the territory. Banks has got some time and support. Gordon Banks should be able to knock this out. Switches on. The kick's not great. Brown will get there. Where to? Up the wing. Ralph Smith presents for him. 2 for the Tigers.
They're not uber confident to go quickly because ahead of the ball it's been such a battle, so then they lose their confidence, the Richmond players, which gives Essendon the chance to get back behind the footy, which makes it even harder.
Banks retreated before he advances and tosses it up. Goldstein reaches up, kept away from him. Ryan ended up with it. Campbell kicked brilliantly, smothered, and McGrath swoops through as a result. And past Laverne's in strike. He got caught with it. Umpire took pity.
Good smother, a great smother, saved the shot at goal.
Does the tough things, Will Setterfield. Big tackle numbers, number 5th in the AFL. Tries to complement the rest of the Essendon midfield.
Yeah, he's playing on Tim Taranto too, Setterfield.
Hopper through the tackle, was able to feed it out to Mansell, who's trying to will that ball back, but did not obey instructions. The Tigers, they sneak ahead.
Well, they've had 15 inside 50s to 11. When the ball's lived down, this end's gone in and out very quickly up the other end, but they've just got to get a bit of return because they are really controlling the flow of the contest at the moment.
Pryor was searching for a target. He's kicked long. Dursma, Floston kept it away from him underneath Caldwell. Dursma did end up with it. Durham studies what's up the line. There's not a whole lot to work with, so he delays to Guelph and then back to Durham. He's in a tight spot. Blazes. Langford has front position. Good mark against Broad.
That's the first time Broad's had an opponent, so they get a contest.
Langford's going to give them a look in the square. Clark said himself, what about that for a young man to make you smile?
Outstanding work. We'll get the shot of the family, I hope. But that, I mean, they had to even numbers up, Jace. They're not kicking the ball anywhere near well enough to be able to allow Nathan Broad to play behind the footy on his own. So Langford goes and takes responsibility, takes the mark, and now, boys, over to you for the debutant.
A teenager who grew up in country South Australia to the bright lights of Friday night at the MCG and his first goal in the AFL. An unforgettable moment for Angus Clark. And they all come to young pup.
Well, again, you heard the coach speak pre-game. One of the boys asked him, and this is what footy's all about right now. Dream time at the MCG, one of the big games of the year, and you've come out and kicked the goal in the first quarter. And Brad Scott's face just lit up. We all love Brad, but pre-game, he's got his game face on, and as soon as they mentioned his name, he just said he makes everyone smile. Well, he's made everyone smile then, because it's been hard work trying to find a goal. and that's a great result.
Real country kid. He won the 2K time trial, so he can certainly run quick, but that's the feel of footy, isn't it? That's what you're dreaming of.
And you mentioned they were finally able to get a contested mark from Langford, something they've been crying out for.
Well, for most of the game, Nathan Broad, he must think that if you're captain, you don't know one
You
plays.
don't phone anyone. Yeah.
Bombers back in front. Merritt was able to prevail decisively. Out to Martin. Equal numbers as you'd expect after a centre bounce. Caddy went up, didn't drag it down. Guelphy, a welcome return to the Bombers tonight. Not quite for him. There's Caleb Smith back to Tom Brown again. Campbell is the target. McGrath tried to work in under the ball, not with any real success. Rel Smith scrounges it along the wing. Roberts waited for the ball to bounce so he could get a read on it. That meant that there was tacklers at the ready. Laverty in his second game back, fumbled cleverly back by Reid to Mackay. It was statue-like, which meant Laverty had nowhere to go. Reid tries to take the initiative. Parsley got through. McGrath, excellent. The quick hands enables Roberts and now Caldwell to link up, get the switch going. There's movement. It gives space ahead for Caddy to lead into. Dersma tries to target him. On the bounce will have to do. He turns, faces the goals, faces right. Who's in the pocket? The Crummer was at the back, but it never arrived. They couldn't get past Miller. And he works it out with Broad again across that last line.
Seventh time they've marked the footy from an opposition kick. They just got to go one-on-one. The Bombers ahead of the ball. You have to have a contest.
Smith presents. Signs being held up to semaphore 15 seconds. Tigers to take the territory off the boot of Smith. Ball had trapped it. It spilled the way of Martin. McGrath will be the last kick of the term. It had a high point with the debutant with his first goal. Outside of that, it didn't quite match the pump-up we had before the opening siren. Hits the Bombers narrowly.
Camden McIntosh did have to leave the ground in that opening term on a slightly sour note for Richmond. We'll follow that shortly. Well, what an occasion this is, and what a great sport it is we follow. That's why we go to the footy. You follow your team and you find your people.
You got to find your people.
All right, folks, welcome in. Of course, it's the Bombers leading at quarter time, 2-1-13. The Tigers 1-2-12. I tell you what, it's a fascinating game. It's a fascinating game, as I said. Look, the Tigers probably had a little bit of the control in that game, but I think just the young, inexperienced players, well, they're just not handling the ball 100% cleanly. And of course, some of their decision could be a little bit slower. And like for both teams going inside forward 50, there's not a great deal of composure there. Their forwards not really doing a great deal, apart from this one effort here from Angus Clark. Got his first goal in AFL football. I'll tell you what, that was a beautiful contested mark and was able to kick the goal. But it's a fascinating game. Tell you what, you'd think the Bombers would get away with this with the experience they've got out there. They do look good when they're running it. But then again, I'll tell you what, Richmond not too bad. It's just some of their decisions making and just the handling of the ball. But fascinating game. I think I still like Richmond. I'll tell you what, from what I've seen from Richmond, I think they're going to be a very dangerous side. Next year or the year after, when they get a bit of consistency about the way they play with each other. Of course, a young team they are, the Tigers. I tell you what, dream time at the G. It's a dream for a lot of these young players out there this evening. It's a fascinating game, to say the least. I just want to welcome in Emmanuel, Game Board. How you going? M King ET, Jet Drake, Tine, Sheila May. How you doing, Al? Good stuff. There we go. Hey, we're going to just pop over and have a look at the goal scorers. There's only 3 goal scorers so far, and of course, Tim Taranto, the only goal scorer there for the Tigers. Look, I'm sure the Tigers have got a few more goals coming, but they really do miss the spearhead down there. They really do miss their spearhead. For the Bombers, Nick Martin, Angus Clark are the goal scorers. So look at the disposals. There we go. 3 on double figures already, all for the Bombers. Archie Roberts, Andy McGrath. I'm sure he'll be in for a big game, Andy McGrath. Sam Durham, all up to 10. Nick Martin and Dersma on 9. So the top 5 disposal getters out on the ground so far are from the Bombers. Best for the Tigers, Ben Miller. He's on 8 disposals, 7 kicks, 1 handball. Zachy Merritt on 8 with Jai Caldwell there for the Bombers. Let's keep rolling down. Tim Taranto, as I said, he's kicked a sausage roll. That's right, he's kicked a goal off his 7 disposals, 5 kicks, 2 handballs. All right, who else have we got? There we go. Jack Ross for the Tigers on 5. McIntosh on 5. I'm sure he'll be doing a bit of work down back there. Goldstein, there we go, the big man, just the 5 touches, 5 handballs, 5 hit-outs, 4 clearances for him. There we go. Seth Campbell on 4. And there is yours, Morris Rioli, not a touch yet. Team stats, I tell you what, they've both teams have had plenty of inside 50s. Wow, with just 1 and 2 goals each. Disposals, well, that's the Bombers by 21 after the opening quarter. Inside 50s, yeah, look, both teams getting plenty of it. 14 apiece for not very many scoring shots. Their efficiency inside 50 are going to be pretty low, as we see. 14% for the Bombers, 28 for the Tigers. Disposal efficiency around the ground's not too bad. Free kicks, free kicks, not many happening out there at the moment. The ball, the ball's a little bit slippery out there, a little bit dewy. We did have a little bit of rain today, 13 degrees out here at the MCG. The hit-outs, 9-7, Tigers +2. Clearances, Bombers winning that though, 11-5. Centre clearances, 3-1. Contested possessions, Bombers a little bit harder. Uncontested, not a great deal. It's just +9 to the Bombers. Turnovers, both teams turning it over a fair bit out there, or especially the Bombers. 25-19. There we go. And we look at the inside 50s. Both teams have had it, I think, what did we say, 15 times inside 50s apiece for 1 mark. Come on. They need to compose themselves going in a little bit more, maybe hit that shorter kick and try and hit a leading player up about 30 out to have their shot. Richmond, however, having a bit of run on the outside, 33-20 on the marks. All right, that's enough of me from quarter time. Hey, don't forget to put your votes in. Who you think's going to win this game? Dream time at the G. It is here, Friday night football. We've got Essendon 64%, Richmond 36%. Tell you what, I'm still tipping the outsiders. I think Richmond were at $4 outsiders. Essendon were hot favourites to win this game, but I've always since the start of the season and watching Richmond a few times, I do like the Richmond go about the way they play their footy. As I said, I think they've got a bright future ahead. But you know what? It is dream time out there for both of these teams. JB said hi. How you going, JB? All right, that's enough for me. Let's get back down to the ground. They'll take us to the bounce of the ball for the second quarter. It's the Bombers by 5 points.
The goal they kicked, Jace, was when they evened numbers up, and it was Langford that took that big mark. So they've both got issues with their kicking inside forward 50, which makes it, the contest becomes now who can clear it, who can tidy up.
Yeah, but it's different methods of both things, isn't it? As he said, the Bombers forwards are getting dragged up. They want to keep it open and run back with it. But Broad staying back. The Tigers are keeping numbers back, but no one presents at the footy.
Bombers by 5, entering the second term. Ruckman at either ends of their careers. Ryan and Goldstein, former Merits. First touch out to the side. Ryan with a chance to get a lot on it. Ross dispossessed. Stays in the skirmish. Smith did well. Got it to McAuliffe. Tigers slip over as they set. He slipped right into the footy.
Gee, that's clever. The body work there was so clever. He's got really good strength for a young man. And they were side by side, he and his opponent. And it's just a battle of who can hold their ground.
I know it's probably becoming boring and repetitive, but it is Dustin Martin all over, starting in the goal square, body strength against a bigger opponent, takes the mark low down on his chest. It's a magnificent weapon that Adamuze is going to have to deploy.
Sam Lawler has already shown himself to be so dependable. He's got all the right skills. Tigers back in front.
They got a centre-back smashing last week. Only won 4 for the match, Jay, so better win 1 and get a goal from it is a huge step forward. So that forward centre, we've talked about the big forwards and how young they are. Look at that group right there. So that's Trainer who's played forward for the first time, and then you got Fall and you got Sims who've got 10 games between them. This is just a natural footballer right here. Not necessarily a full forward. He can play any position.
The great part about that clearance, and I was critical of Tim Taranto in the first quarter. He got a hand pass, his handball to grass, not to the advantage. On that occasion, they held the ball until they could release someone by hand. I think it was McAuliffe that ended up getting it and driving the ball forward, and all of a sudden they get a really good look.
That's against the 29-year-old, 9-season defender too, that Sam Lawler's done that.
It's not the first bloke he's going to beat hard.
No, it certainly
It's no mistake.
Holstein got the tap straight to Durham. They were ready for it.
I hope he's yelling out now. He's now looking at him running up Lawler with Laverty. Stay back, son. Stay deep.
Right, good connection. Let's try to eke a handball out, Ross, but stolen straight away by Durham. He re-gifts it straight back to Miller.
Intercept mark number 8 for the Tigers.
Targets an aggressive line to Ryan, who's hiding at 6'7" in the middle of the ground. And he takes the mark. Thought it would kick down the middle. Fall didn't really fly. But he quite knew how to get to the spot.
Yeah, as the tall Johnny Fall, you got one job. That's to fly. That's to make a contest and allow the others to get into the game, bring the smalls in.
And Reed get into their kicking game, and McGrath, as I said, starts to run and bounce again in the last couple of weeks. Had 35 touches against the Swans. Caddy with the early rise, but couldn't stay up long enough. Ralph Smith back to Ross. Tigers look to press again. Out wide and half forward. Smith gets inside the 50, but his radar is well off.
That's another classic case, though. Everyone's running back to goal. No one props and comes up at the play with the ball, and it is such a simple 15 or 20-metre chip kick to the lead.
It was Johnny Fall again, Jay. So again, we are.
They're young players. They're learning.
Yep.
Roberts kicks on to the contest. Langford has to hold up his end of the bargain. Can't quite hold up the footy. Dow hustles to clear. Campbell checks his kick. Waller was impeded. Fall knocks it on. Tantalisingly near the goal front. Kai ensures nothing comes of it.
Turning the footy back over in their half. So that was a great win out on the centre wing. Caddy flew. They crumped over the first and the top of the ball. So they're getting the ball in their half. There's Campbell McIntosh. He's a resilient man. Been around for a long time. He's
Down there
not
on the
prepared
bench.
to put the old sub-vest on just yet.
Former Essendon coach Ben Rutten becomes part of the team now with the Tigers, as he was through so much of their success. Austin sends it back in. Out comes Laverty. No one was getting in his way that time. Still the Green trying to muscle in on his territory. Hand off to Roberts. Completely pure. And Ralph Smith ran it well. And a step ahead of young Clark. And that is a snap of substance, but it's just the wrong side of the post.
Oh boy, they are doing a lot right, the Tigers. The pressure is good. They're not allowing easy outlet kicks. It's just a matter of can they translate enough of these turnovers into goals.
He's been good too, Ralph Smith. He's been really important in winning it back in their half.
Pryor can't find a target, so it's a kick to right. Miller worked him underneath it. McAuliffe trying to get it back to Miller. Didn't quite. Miller turns tackler.
So what they've got to do is put doubt in Essendon's mind. Remember early on in the game, they'd taken that 45 kick through the middle. They turned the couple over. Well, now they look a little bit gun-shy, the Bombers. A bit predictable down the line, and Richmond has set up well for it.
Ryan put it to Ross. Tackle the moment he got it. Full and hard pressure. Repeat entries for the Tigers.
Extra at the stoppage for the Tigers, one extra in defence for the Bombers.
Serrato was good to get the Campbell, but Martin was equally good to make sure it ended up in the crowd.
The Bombers have listened and set up pretty well here, so they went and manned up broad. Perkins is on him now, so they're not giving that spare.
Jackson Pryor, the loose at the moment.
Tom Brown, the correspondent.
Play on.
Ryan broke clear to get the tap, but Bombers were after it. Martin had no one around him. Goldstein amongst 3 Tigers. Gray got the spoil. Dow had to go through a lot the wrong way, but he knew he had some insurance at the back. Banks received the handball from Broad. Now Hopper, extra step to get a little closer. Skids one to half forward. Ross took it only momentarily. That's a dead set scoop from Reed. The umpire didn't see it that way. Durham with a forward handball. The ball behaves, although it doesn't for Perkins. Slides through his hands. Now he gets another opportunity, but the captain wasn't waiting to have a little Perkins standing for Roberts, charging towards goals. He got enough on the kick. Just crept over the top, but it's the wrong side of the post for Archie Roberts.
A bit more creative and aggressive through the middle of the ground. Long forward handball, set the whole thing up there.
Down the target on the way out. Richmond get it moving again up the line. Campbell, it's gone particularly wide. All the way out of the full. McIntosh is waving to come back in. Right, squares it up. Setterfield. It's the Bombers mode. Didn't come out breathing fire the way you might have imagined. Right, too tall, rolls and goes. So give them a look near the top of the square. Langford couldn't get a run. Brilliantly marked again by Clark. What an impression he's made.
Boy.
There's a little bit of an argument. I think I've heard the ball touch the ground. Ralph Smith, that's twice. He's been outbodied. He's got a very slight frame, and this young man, he's showing very, very capable in the air. He's held between the legs.
It's not between his legs, he's against his backside.
Too young to know Mark Taylor in the slips, is he?
Exactly. Some party tricks on the jersey.
Some players wait weeks or months for their taste of it. On the scoreboard, Angus Clark has hit 2 and 2 quarters. And he's the prime weapon for Essendon up front.
So, good on this young man. But it's an instructive play because the last two goals they've got, Langford's either outmarked Broad, or you'll see this ball go in here to this young man who does his best juggling act. And it looked like Broad was going to come across and take it an intercept mark. And you just see Langford get back to him. You see Langford at the top of the square and he cages Broad. Broad has to go to him. Then he gets a one-on-one and he does his party trick. He gets his second goal, 2 of 4. 2 of only 3, if you don't mind, in his first game.
Ball squeezes out after a bit of a fumble. Does he control it long enough? Is he in control? Probably there, I think.
Yes.
It's good to see, isn't it? The youngster having a ball and look at the family enjoying it.
Dad's had a settler. Ryan just outside the circle, but Empire lets them play. Perkins made good with what he had to Caldwell. They're ready to go again. And Smith backing back. He flings the handball off to Banks. He's made a home for himself across half back in the absence of Jaden Short. Reed tries to batter it back to Perkins. It's a bit of a nothing handball, and the Tigers ready to feast if they can. McAuliffe, they can kick it. Oh, that was a heavy hit off the ball together. Whack into Dersma. The young Tigers mean business if they can. Sims is under attack now, though.
Did well, though, Toronto, because they were really outnumbered long. So he had to pull the kick and just drop it into a hole there and take the stoppage.
McIntosh is back on at the moment, but he does look properly with that ankle, so we'll just keep an eye on that.
Campbell to Ryan and then to Banks. They try and get things sorted out. Dow down the line, tentative kick. Faulty kick out of bounds on the foot.
5 more metres out. Pick it up about 5 metres. Play on.
Just run out of space.
Who's your player, trainer?
Perkins set it in the right direction. Gray made the spoil over the top. Merritt clever tap to Martin. Bombers should bring it up toward the 50. Wide for Langford. Did he control into the field of play? Yes. Langford rolls, gives them a look deep. Up they go. Durham with the unrealistic attempt, and he left some carnage in the aftermath. Ralph Smith got stuck with it. Kako played on to a Smith. How about the volley? Scramble play, Indigenous. Advantage call made. Nick Martin.
It's clever work by Nick Martin, but that is a goal made out of luck, not by design.
That is a free kick to Nick Boston on first look all day long. Look at Durham come out of the goal square here. Cleans up Boston, don't get a fingertip on it. And now Boston's off the ground.
And then Kako takes the advantage when he probably shouldn't have, gets smothered, and he's lucky that Martin gets him out of jail.
There's a quality volley. Bombers feeling better about themselves. couple of quick ones to open up a 9-point advantage. Two multiple goal kickers. And Clark and Martin, right, doing about 20-25% of the ruck work at the moment for the Bombers with the aging Goldstein. That's it with all
Feels a bit different, that goal, Jace, because the first time tonight there's a goal being kicked from the front half. The rest been coming from the back.
Sims over the top. Bombers looking to dictate terms. Corth had another idea. Hopper take the ground to half forward. The slow from full, that's better. Down low. Scripted up well. Eyes turned to the goal square. Trainer drifting. And he goes a little more central for Trainer. Threatened. Roberts nervous. Ball is on his side. Trainer saw.
Yes, and stick landing. Redmond's kick was touched, as you can call. They won't know that up there, so Miller has the latitude to bang it back inside. See who can take a fly this time. Fall, what was interfered with? He was.
Well, Johnny Fall's doing exactly what you said you had to do, Jace.
Just compete.
And that's exactly as many contests as you can, and eventually you might get a push in the back as he.
Yeah, just gets the hand from Mackay. That's one he didn't need to give away. Opportunity for the Tigers to bounce back after a couple of big goals to the Bombers.
Jonty Fall, one of these haul of first round picks. He went at 14, a couple of goals. The 6 games he's played coming here tonight. Just keeps an eye on the shot clock. Jonty Fall makes his approach. It's a good looking kick. Oh, he's got a bit of that in this guy Fall. Narrows the deficit to 2.
Yeah, he can play, Jared. He just in each of the games that he's played, and he's only a baby. He does something more than once in a game that you just go, okay, let's get 50 games into this bloke as quickly as you possibly can. And he's been outnumbered, he's been outpushed. He hasn't run to the right spots. He's a little bit of everything, Jace. But I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to be better than okay.
We're seeing a lot of young players coming into the game, Gaz, that are mid to high, 190 centimetres, tall, athletic types, and they're going to take a while to develop. But that's exactly what, if you're Adam Tuesday, you just pull him aside and say, mate, you only have to do one thing for me. Fly and attack every ball. Yeah. And whether you mark it or bring it to ground, that's job done.
He said the forwards meeting this week resembled a crash. He went in there without Tom Lynch, and you can understand what he's talking about. But they're going to be spoiled. They're going to have hard decisions to be made sooner rather than later at selection with their young forwards. And ready and waiting again as Hopper got it out to Dow, then to Banks in a rush, but it gets forward and just out of the outstretched hands of Trainer. Tap back by Laverty. Clever again by Ford to Sims, so they're all involved in the setup. Mansell lost his footy, and that enables Thurston to have unfettered access to the field.
What they need to realise right now is they've got a damn winnable game in front of them. And this is an Essendon side that hasn't come out, with the response that we maybe thought. Right now, there's a game up for grabs. So you've got Trainer that goes forward and now is learning that he's just got to compete as well. So he's, this nothing to lose attitude now blooms as a really dangerous thing for Essendon to have to try and counteract.
Jack Campbell-Gray's holdings out of the other end.
Yeah, it was a good spoiler, wasn't it?
Spoiler.
Really good spoiler.
Did the same when he played here earlier in the year on debut. 195 centimetres. Right, rucking and looking to rove as well. He was surrounded by Tigers again. Ross was there right up against the line. Roberts keeps it in for the Bombers. So Setterfield and the rest of the hands had to be super sharp, and they were. Right, Caddy again with Gray. Dumps it back on the spoil. Keep it in, or would instead it's a throw in.
Clearances is the only issue right now when you look at the number point of view that you'd be concerned about. It's 15-8 in favour of Essendon, and everything else is tracking really well for this young Richmond side.
Almost by 2, approaching the halfway mark of the second term. Wright and Sims lean into each other. The fly Mansell ran past it, McCall got dispossessed, so fight on they do. Dursma threw it out. Haven't quite emerged. Mansell kept it tied up.
Really like Hugo Ralphsmith's game, Chief. He's just getting better and better with each outing, making that win his own.
Martin Had to clear. Merritt in the tackle. Rode the momentum. Fitted into open space. Roberts a good trap, but no good with a half pass. Green brushed his way clear. Steers the pass out in front of Law. It'll run too far.
Probably not a bad result for the Tigers. He would have been 1 against 2, so they get to reset, get a forward 50 stoppage. They won't die wondering in terms of having a crack at the young Tigers. You've got to applaud the efforts. I think Brad's got to be disappointed if you're controlling the clearances. You should be controlling the flow of the football and a bit of territory.
Tigers in attack again. Nothing from us.
Well, the territory's all Richmond's way right now. So if they can tidy that bit up, if their forwards can get a bit of separation, they can hit a target.
Right, let's do the ruck work. McIntosh, the handball. Good enough in there. Ross fired it out. Green, a time for a look. You wouldn't know he didn't quite craft the check side in the manner he was hoping. Out of bounds on the full, but they're within 2 points. Bombers with 10 players, 100 games or more tonight. Tigers just 5, but the 5 have all played over 150, and McIntosh is one of those. Floating ball. Just put his body on the line enough so Banks and Gray can go to work. Gray still trying to attack when he can. A lot of bodies around the footy, and Perkins seems to see it out.
Good in trap there, young Campbell Gray again. Just showing some really good signs. Spoiling in the air, but good clean hands, and navigated his way through traffic there to release the hand pass.
David Roden was hiding for the cameras, I think, there for a moment. Not usually shy.
I doubt it.
Former Tiger, Port Adelaide. To the front. Caldwell. Caddy had to get right up the ground. He's been a big factor tonight so far. Just a couple of disposals. So midway through this second term, low-scoring affair. Plenty of rain around today in Melbourne. It's mostly cleared tonight, though. Goldstein and Sims talk about men at opposite ends of their career. As you mentioned earlier, Jared even less experience from Sims and his ruck work than Ryan, but they get it forward. McGrath, centre field, around the corner. Perkins just hoped something would come together and materialise. Instead, it's Gray to Smith. He floated the handball, which meant it was awkward at best for Boston. Dersma, Bombers, numbers 4 to play. Langford, goal, a very attractive option. He tried, he's missed it by a fair margin.
It's a wealthy tackle in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Well, it was stark because we haven't seen it. We haven't hardly seen any physicality in this game.
Just a little bit of inexperience from Caleb Smith. He had a couple of shorter, easier handball options. He went the long one with his teammate under pressure.
Langford got up a little sore after that too.
He's had an interrupted season already. Durham on the fly, released it for Caddy to get the snap away. It's high, but it's not handsome. So from behind, the Dons by 3.
It's up for Essendon now to try and keep this in their forward half because Richmond have done a great job. They've had 7 forward half intercepts this game already, which has been enabling them to keep the ball in their half. How hard can Essendon work here to try and keep it, to give their backs a little bit of a breather?
Miller lets it all wash over him. And after, oh no, he does little tweak the kick at the last moment. Well played. You like that, Gaz? I know you like the last minute.
I loved it.
Change of mind.
Another one here.
Yeah, from Smith. That's real progression now. Tigers through Ryan to McIntosh.
Keep going.
Ansell's offering 4 as the deepest, but he did wait again. Patience paid off. Campbell, they're on the cusp here, the Tigers.
He's got options.
Thomas Dow's on his own.
Overwhelmed by the ball. Instead, he goes back to Tom Brown. Tom Brown! Oh, Sims almost dragged it down.
Yeah, Thompson Dowd worked his way inside 50. He didn't look.
This is like a tunnel vision.
Yeah. So like Samson Ryan's created some good space in the middle of the ground a couple of times as a connector player.
That was their best passage there. They've all used from their back half, and that particular passage of play by Richard was outstanding.
Dersma with not a lot to work with. Hoiks it down the worn wing. Gray's a good spoiler. McIntosh underneath. Gray lends a hand. Doesn't quite have it. Caddy onto the boot, but only as far as Hopper. Tice get a chance to build. Hopper squeezes his kick forward. Dersma's well set. Good spoil. Ralph Smith. Ground ball. Sims inserted himself. Only as far as Roberts. That passes it away to Redmond. Took on the tackle, so had to release and did. McGrath. Kako working along. long way down. Durham. He can control the direction. Stands on the spot virtually and has a bounce. Meandering nowhere. Caldwell to the side.
Yeah, the frustration there at the Bomber fans. Quickly used, Shawnee, for an injury out there on Langford.
Well, Cole Langford's come off after that big hit. He's gone down into the training room as well to get it looked at, so we'll wait another couple of minutes to see if he comes back up.
Last thing Essendon need is another serious injury. Fingers crossed, Reed.
Essendon sub Hobbs has actually increased his warm-up now as well.
Okay, Clark this time trying to deliver for a teammate to have a shot, but he falls short. Brown doesn't. But Huntston something on. Manson, Ralph Smith. Locks flowing. Crosses hard forward. The goal was there for the taking. Here you go, Ralph Smith. And the Tigers retain the lead.
I love this bloke's game. I think he's been sensational. He's really helped to keep the footy in their half. He's been reading the ball coming out of the fence really well. His athleticism on display there. The movement of Richmond. Like, as soon as his turnover, this is what good sides do. They punish you on turnover. And they haven't been doing this, Richmond. In fact, they've been a poor team that punishes opposition.
I'm glad he kicks the goal, Gaz, because it was the only option he had. He just needed Johnny Fall to turn and come up out of it. And then that gives him two choices.
Exactly.
Pass to that player or kick to the open goal square. But in the end, he only had the one option.
Yeah, no, and this would be great for them to go to work on it. And you're right, it's an easy U-turn, hook turn. And,
Yep.
and it's someone needs to get to Johnny forward. And I'm sure they will. But this fella here's been super. Hugo Ralph Smith has been super. And this is starting to resemble modern footy, the way the really good teams are playing, punishing teams on turnover.
5 lead changes. Tigers have it for the time being. Hopper committed himself. Banks, good hand pass to Taranto. Gives a bit of ground to Broad. Can send the Tigers out wide. He's flicked downfield and will come back. Come back. Really good footy in hands.
He'll be a bit relieved with that goal too. Hugo Ralph Smith, after he's had that battle with Clark, who's gone forward and kicked a couple.
Langford's come back out and he's at the back of the box now, and it is his quad, so Hobbs is warming up and getting a run.
So that's Richard. He injured himself in round 1 here against Hawthorn. Had the absence, has been really slow to get back to his work. It looks like he's out again. That McIntosh long down the line, brought to ground by Ryan to the boundary.
And the worst part here, he's a really important player for the Bombers mix, the role that he plays. He plays almost a key forward type, but he's mobile, he takes contested marks, he kicks goals. They don't have anyone like him.
Hamstring, I think it was earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So
But the goal kick in the past 2 years for them.
Yeah, that's not the view you want, is it? Unfortunately.
Just the 2 goals in 4 games since returning. Johnstone got a whack around the bush. There's something scientific around the way that Ryan goes about his ruck work. All elbows and knees.
See, they just all have retreated Essendon forward. They've got about 9 inside forward 50 here.
Redmond's gone in the caddy direction, got edged out right. Prepared himself out of Durham. Coming through, classy move. Clark will kick his third right. And this has been primed over 18 years for this moment. 3 goals in his first half. It's beyond belief, Bob.
Look at the disbelief. Come on, you have little faith. They should be sitting there nodding their heads going, we knew it. We knew he was capable. And this was really interesting because here's the scenes pre-game. You get this feeling it's a pretty special young man at this Essendon Football Club, much loved, and the spirit that these young players can generate.
The dad with Brad.
Dad's telling Brad, get him on early.
play forward, man.
I think he's got 3 in him in the first half. Durham set it up with his attack on the footy, which is sensational. But it was a really interesting setup. They retreated heavily into their forward 50 and just banked it in and tried to outnumber. Something different. What a half.
Do you think Dad's on the can of goals?
I hope not, Jared. It might get ugly.
Wonder how they're going up in Gambia country. East Gambia, who he played for, picked 39. But now look at the SAFL. Massive Redmond we saw was involved in the presentation.
Just kick your third and you come off for a spell. There's something wrong
I
with
was just
that.
about to say the same thing.
Goldstein had no one to give it to. He tried to go on a line, he couldn't. Hopper stole the march. Tigers turn to attack. A little severe over Sims. Lawler out of the square again. Reed. Some handiwork stuff. Hobbs get out there quickly. Got a shove. Was it in the back? That's a little too obvious. That's Ross. So Ben Hobbs would have been thrilled to be demoted to sub tonight, but he doesn't have to wait too long. Up along the wing. Caddy is well set. Didn't judge it so well. Brown knew he had help at the back. Smith's hands were deft enough and more of the same. Well, actually, McCullough's was a little blind as it turned out. Taranto's going to wear some contact, but he's used to that.
They're winning the ball back in the forward half's been really impressive. Particularly as this second quarter's rolled on. The Bombers have struggled to get through.
Thank goodness for Angus Clark. He's kicked 60% of their goals. Hopper jams it forward. Mackay, Topple, Sims, Mansell. So I'm not certain went over the line, but the umpire was.
And Angus Clark did win their time trial too this year as a first-year player, so he has got a tank. He's got 3 goals in the first half, so that's how it goes.
So even more reason not to take him off.
Yep.
He's going to have a big role with Langford off, obviously, too.
Bombers by a couple. Keeping time on to the second term. So another free kick. Or just still there.
So Nick Boston's been a really important player for Richmond. His intercept work's been outstanding. Grofie got a really dedicated job on him at the moment.
McGrath with the expansive switch. Forward to Merritts. McGrath wraps around to get it back. Dashes through. Superior pace. Opens the margin. McGrath pumps it low. This kick. Hard to do on the full throw run. And McCullough has it. Out to Dow. Using it for Tom Brown. Durham ran enough interference, goes back after the hard ball. Smith did okay. Brown trying to work it out. Canny dragged off it by now. Passes all fair and love and all. Risky kick in forward. Found the corner. Back out to Smith. It was right the hands as it was arriving, and it still burst through.
Well, this is what we haven't seen enough from Essendon, and that is keeping the ball in their half. So Durham's playing a bit deeper now as a forward. He's got Tom Brown as his opponent. He brings competitiveness in your front half, but they've got to try and do what Richmond have done in this second quarter, and that is win the ball back, keep it in their half of the ground.
Tried to break free, Goldstein, but he missed the ball on the swipe. So the Tigers get first play at it. Quilliff getting it going. Hopper into the outside to Green. So far so good. Ross, length on the kick. Sims drifting in from the side. Didn't quite bring it down. Campbell couldn't get booked to ball. McGrath was the tackler and was effective, and meant that Pryor could pounce, and suddenly it's the Bombers stringing the kicks together. That Merritt had to work harder than he would have liked. Apologies issued from Hobbs.
Great effort from Thomas Dow. Get across, get it out of bounds, keep it in your half.
So Doug Nichols round into its second week. And calls from both Essendon and Richmond to make it the first of the 2 rounds. Back forward by Perkins for the Bombers. Wolfie was laid out flat. Smith didn't quite get the line of it right. Dig. Gresham goes to work. Durham was his only target. Brown fully committed. You'd expect nothing else. Never here after it. McIntosh versus Durham. Durham, tremendous hands. Back to Martin. Towards right. It was designed perfectly. And Peter Wright takes the mark, and the Essendon fans are a step.
Durham going forward. Langford comes off the ground. Maybe there's just the unintended consequences. They become much more competitive in their front half when he's there. Just Durham.
Just the superior pace to run down McIntosh and then be able to drag the ball back in.
So Durham did all the hard work and the heavy lifting. He's a much-loved Bomber. Peter Wright, 9 goals, 5 in his 5 games. Came in with a blast kick, 6 against West Coast, then 2 against Collingwood. Been a bit scarce since then, just 1 in the last 3 weeks. And the curse is under the breath as he can't extend Essendon's lead by much.
I think Ben Miller's done a pretty good job on him in the first half when they've been head-to-head.
Banks with the responsibility of the kick in outside the final 2 minutes of the second term. He'll take the territory, so he'll need Sims and Ryan. Goldstein's there, flying up over the top was full, his fist right through the footy.
But again, that's what we spoke about early on. He's learning very quickly. Just commit to the context. Whatever happens, attack the ball, bring it to ground one way or the other if you can't mark.
Goldstein, a wily old veteran. Taps it in front of Merritt. Paddled it only as far as Smith, so the Tigers with a chance to break. Almost have numbers here if Mackay can deal with it, and deal with it he can. Worked it around. Laverty now to Redmond. Up the line he goes, centre field. Crashed into my grade. There's nothing to say about that. Centre field up to move it. Give the Bombers a late look. Kicks for rights. Brought it down. Caddy threatens. Time to assess. Probes. Gresham tried to run onto it. Benched it enough. Guelphy's been quiet on return. Held up.
Big last minute here for the Tigers. Need to hang on. They don't want to concede.
Essendon looking to grow this lead. Durham out of the pack. Got it. Online and through.
Was a touch.
Touched on the way. For the moment it's a goal. We'll see if it withstands review.
Tigers look pretty genuine in their protest, didn't they, instantly?
Yeah. I think they're staying back, ready to set up for the kick out. So Durham thinks it was touched as well, just looking at that body language. Gave a little nod to one of his opponents.
Thanks with the reach.
He better hope so, Tim Taranto, because he was the one that got caught allowing his opponent goal side.
It's going to be hard to see in motion, isn't it?
Guys, set up. It's all clear. Set up.
It's been called all clear. They've been told to set up. So Durham is on the boards. And the Bombers got the late one to lead by 9.
And nothing the Richmond defence can do about it now. Tension back in the middle. Stylish looking tap from Goldstein. Taranto first playing it. Which I play the mark. Up and at it again, Caldwell. Territory game, not for long. Foster kicks to open pastures. Let the ball sit. Timely for 4. He just jammed it on the left boot. Got it around the corner. But the extra numbers with Essendon. Reed steps in. And short circuit and then bring it to Martin, who's in no hurry at all, realising that without a boost he couldn't be too creative anyway. Merritt had grander plans because Pryor's got himself loose. Suddenly, extra spring in the step for the Bombers. Can they do it in 8 seconds flat? Clark, a deep entry, set for Peter Wright and Durham. Wright flies. A host of Tigers do their job. Spoil what would have been a hammer blow to Adamusa and the Tigers. They've done plenty right. But it's the Bombers by 9. Jason.
Well, they've worked their way in front. The Bombers got a little bit more effective going forward. Gaz spoke about Durham giving them an option forward as well. Just something a little bit different, but a little bit more considered the way they're using the footy instead of just allowing those quick rebounds that we saw in the first quarter. So they've got their nose in front, but we've got a really good contest on our hands.
All right, so it's the Bombers by 9. The hero of the first half, Angus Clark. He used to cut himself firewood, Gary Lyon, in his hometown of Tantanoola in South Australia, to fun flights to play for Benelg. I think it was worth it.
A noble pastime, Hutto. It is cutting firewood, and look where he is, 3 goals in his first game at the MCG. It is Friday night footy on Fox, brought to you by Industry Super Funds. When it comes to super, there's only one symbol to look for, Jonathan Brown, Nathan Buckley and Jordan Lewis. It was just hard going in the first quarter, but it's now become a little more entertaining.
Hard going, it's an understatement of the season, Gary, especially quarter time. Young young Angus Clark, I thought his old man looked familiar. He used to work on the uncle's carrot farm.
Of course he did.
As a young fella,
On his carrot farm.
what a character he is. So if they do get up, we've got to get the old man Stewie Clark on. There's some Matty Clark bloodlines there. Of course, the great Brisbane and Adelaide Ruckman family bloodlines there. But 9 points in front. Has been a bit of a scrap, but they started to get moving there, but he's been the highlight, hasn't he? Angus Clark, 3 goals on debut by half time.
Tell us about Harvey Norman highlights. Here's Angus Clark, the young man, infectious. He spoken about pre-game by Brad Scott. Puts a smile on their face. He said, well, he puts a smile on their face with 3 first half goals. Nathan?
Yeah, look, he took 2 contested marks of about 7 or 8 for that first half. So, be able to, on that wing, we've seen it from Ollie Dempsey to slide deep into the forward 50. But, what an amazing feeling it is for a young player to get his first opportunity, let alone get the chance to kick his first goal. And to take a contested mark there, he's taken Ralph Smith down twice and decided on the drop punt there where 99% of the competition were going around the corner now. But Mum and Dad were wrapped, as were the rest of the family, and he just repeated the dose. Another one-hander, finished it between his legs, and then the third at the end of that quarter to be able to go in his kick. He's kicked 3 of how many, not many goals have been kicked in the first half, so he's done extremely well.
Impressive to see his ability to read the drop zone. You don't see young blokes take contested marks like that, especially their first game deal in their career. Sam Hall took one as well in the first quarter.
Well, Brad Scott spoke about we wanted to play him, but we wanted to make sure that he's ready to play physically. You could see that by botting out Hugo. I think he clearly knows and can read the game really well, backed off his endurance. So, as good as that is for Angus, Hugo Ralphsmith needs to be a lot better in that situation.
Yeah, well, I actually enjoyed Hugo Ralphsmith's game, and I think they've both been able to have impacts. I mean, he's given up 3 goals, one-on-ones to a debutant, so that's going to work against him. But his running capacity and his ability to cover ground and stop Essendon exiting out of their defensive half has been really impressive.
Yeah, it was really good, and this probably just highlights the problems for Essendon at the moment both ways, guys. And so Richmond have been able to move the ball far too easily, and they've been the poorest team in the competition doing that this year. And also Essendon haven't been able to move it themselves, so that's a real issue in transition for their Bucks.
They've turned the ball.
You go, mate.
They've turned the ball over 27 times between the arcs, so that's the second best half of football under Adamuze. So that one that went to Hugo Ralphsmith, it was off a Clark kick, so he would have kicked himself for that particular one. But you're right, this has been a better part of their game tonight.
And the efficiency going inside 50 for both sides in that first quarter particularly was a disaster. There are 28 inside 50s in total. They took 2 marks. It needs to get tidied up, Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan Broad was set up as a +1 deep, really early. So they were concerned about getting, having an even-numbered contest for Essendon in their front half. And for the most part, that's worked. They've had 31 inside 50s to 25, so +6. They've had more field position, but just haven't been able to take advantage of that, interestingly enough. So Angus Clark kicks 3, Hugo Ralphsmith kicks that one and nearly kicked another. So most of the goal-scoring opportunities have come from the outside in a little bit of space, after the melee that we've seen through the middle of the field.
Guys, I reckon that was the interesting part about the first quarter, and we sat up here and we said that nothing had changed because Essendon were on top around the ball. They were +6 in the clearances and +9 in contested possession. So it wasn't until late in the first term where they actually equalised forward of the ball, which gave themselves a chance to compete. So we see this came from a kick in this particular ball, and when you give Essendon forwards the chance to impact in the air one-on-one. You can see there every Richmond player is covered off. There's great separation so no one can come over the top and impact in the air. So we see Langford, he's the first one. So then they can continue to play. And this is the one that finished using an Angus Clark goal in the end of it. But they let Richmond for too long in the first quarter to have a spare behind the play.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Nathan Bull was the highest rated player on the ground in that first quarter. What about Martin and Merritt, the class acts?
Yeah, I think in a game like this, the class rises to the top, and from right up the get-go, the Merritt and Martin have been those players across the field, not just for Essendon, but across the field. And Martin in particular, I just think when he finds the ball and finds time and space, positive things happen for Essendon. And Merritt's had 5 kicks, 10 handballs, but that's a class pickup. If I'm Brad Scott, I'm playing with 5 forwards, 5 defenders, 6 mids, and I'm letting Merritt and Martin find themselves in the game wherever it goes, because where they should be allowed to find their own position, because when the ball hits their hands, they'll go and win the game for the Bombers. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Well, it's been a poor kicking night. Martin stood out 12 kicks at 83%. We just see there. So what happened as the game started to wear on? Merritt stuck forward, almost playing as a half forward. Banks was playing on him and he's getting really dangerous headed ball. He's had 16 touches, guys. Had some scoring moments. So you're right, they're the two dangerous ones for the Bombers.
I'm going to put another one up, boys. Sam Durham's going forward, changed the whole makeup of their forward half, and Langford comes off the ground with the injury.
Yeah.
Durham goes forward, sets up the goal, the third goal to Clark, and then kicks one himself. I reckon he changed the whole setup of their forward 50.
And he quite often does, because he's such an aggressive, combative player, and the Bombers have been better when he's up and about. But McGrath and Roberts running hard off back have been excellent as well.
All right, speaking of Langford, let's go to Johnny Ralphie. This is a body blow for the Bombers.
Oh, this is beyond a joke. Essendon's key position stocks are decimated. So 4 key tools already out for the year. Nick Cox battling another concussion episode, which potentially could jeopardise his career. Jordan Ridley out with a long-term hamstring, and now a quad to Kyle Langford. The only good news is that it's not the hamstring, which has had surgery before, a 6-week break from round 1. The club was really cautious with him and he brought him back, but he threw his arm up straight away. He knew a minor quad tear can keep you out for 3 to 4 weeks, and the big 3 games up ahead: Brisbane, Carlton and Geelong. Essendon cannot take a trick with their key position tools.
No, they cannot, Ralphie. That's a big blow. Right, industry super funds, what are we looking forward to in the second half, Geordie?
Well, I think a player that you'd love to see compete for the ball, and that probably prompted the Durham move forward, is Nate Caddy. He just hasn't been able to get himself involved in the game. So, I mean, big second half. You spoke about the Langford injury. Durham's had to go forward, so he's a player that I reckon has got a lot of upside in this second half.
Running under the footy a bit, Brownie, I reckon, is a big key forward at the moment.
I reckon when he plays his worst, he does get there too early and just doesn't have any in his kickbacks to be able to turn.
You get impatient, you get out of the blocks too early, and then you miss the drop zone.
Well, it's a lot of broken football. It's not going to be possession chains that you know exactly where they're going to go. He's a long runner who loves to break the space. You just need to get line of ball and make sure you're in front when the quick kicks come.
9 points of margin at half time in favour of the Bombers. Going to take a break. If you're a fan of Formula 1, the Monaco Grand Prix, it's on Sunday. Coverage starts over the next 2 days.
All right, folks, there we go. Half time, and it's a real battle on our hands here. The Bombers 6-4-40 leading the Tigers 4-7-31. A little bit skew if with the behinds on the Tigers. I tell you what, it's a fascinating game. A little bit more pressure coming into the second half, which was good to see. And, of course, the debut player there getting 3 goals for the Bombers. We'll have a look at the goal scorers in a moment. How you going, Henry? Welcome in. Addy G, Adrian Sports Channel. Hey, what's going on, Squire? Mark Lancaster, how you doing? And good to see United GK popping in here before. Absolutely fantastic. I tell you what, I tell you what, folks, I still like the Tigers. If they can just get their decisions and getting the ball clean. I still think they can do it. And the Bombers, a little bit more experience out there, and of course, a little bit more experience with Dreamtime. That's holding them in good stead. That is for sure. All right, let's go and have a look at some of the goal scorers. Of course, Angus Clark, as I was saying before, debut player, doing fantastic down forward there for the Bombers. Look at that. He's had 8 disposals, all kicks he's had. He's had 4 marks, 2 tackles, 3 straight goals. That's how you like to kick them. Nick Martin, 2 for the Bombers. He's going right over his 15 disposals, kicking them nice and straight as well. And of course, Sam Durham is the other single goal scorer there for the Bombers. For the Tigers, Tim Taranto, Ralph Smith, Sam Laylaw, and Jonty Fall are the single goal scorers there. I do like the way Sam Laylaw goes about it. He's a strong, tough player there for the Tigers. We're having a look, 2, 4, 6, 8, the top 8 possession getters on the ground, all from the Bombers. Come on, Tigers. Sam Durham leads the way. A little bit of class about him. 18 disposals up till half time, 9 kicks, 9 handballs, 3 marks, 2 tackles, 4 clearances. He's doing really well. Archie Roberts there was 17 with Andy McGrath. I'll tell you what, he always uses the ball well, Andy McGrath, getting a good bit of run through the midfield. If you're watching the game, you'll see that. Zachy Merritt up to 16, Nick Martin 15, Caldwell 15. There we go. Top player out on the ground with disposal count for the Tigers. We've got 3 of them. Kane McAuliffe, Jacob Hopper, and of course Sam Banks, all on 13. There we go. Dersman's on 13, if I said that. Tim Taranto A little bit quieter in that second term, 11 touches, 7 kicks, 4 handballs. He's just kicked the 1 goal. So we rolled down the board. Nathan Broad, there we go. Peter Wright there, just with a 10. I think he hasn't kicked a goal in his last 3 matches, they were saying. Down forward there for the Bombers. He needs to get on his bike a little bit. But I'll tell you what a fascinating game this is. McIntosh on 9 there for the Tigers. Goldstein with 8. Tell you what, he's looking a little bit slow tonight, the big ruckman. 8 touches, just the 1 kick, 7 handballs. He's had 15 clearances, 15 hit-outs, 6 clearances. All right, let's keep rolling down. Vlosten on 7 there for the Tigers. Seth Campbell on 7. And there we go. There are your other ones. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the team stats. The team stats as we go. There we go. Plus 33 to the Bombers. Plus 17 in kicks. Plus 16 in handballs. Inside 50s. Well, the Tigers got a few more in that term. I think they were 15 apiece at quarter time. 11 to 16 in that second term. 10 scoring shots to the Bombers, 11 scoring shots to the Tigers. There we go. Free kicks, not many happening out there tonight, just a 7 apiece. I thought the umpires could have given a couple of extra, especially the first one, which resulted in a Bombers goal. But there we go. Hit-outs, Bombers doing it there by 9. Clearances by 7. Tigers, centre clearances, they're leading the way by that single one. Stoppage clearances, the Bombers there. Contested possessions, pretty tight. Uncontested, not much in it, just the 16 turnovers, as we said, they were pretty high tonight. Tigers not too bad though, season average. Bombers a little bit higher there. The marks inside 50, 3-2. Well, I tell you what, this is an area that both teams could improve in. They both had plenty of chances inside 50. We go down to the tackle count, 36, 27 tackles inside 50. Bombers a little bit better inside 50 at tackles. All right, let's just head back down to the ground while the commentators having a little bit of a chit-chat.
My role was a ruckman, but in my time, we had taller players like John Ironmonger, Peter Burton and all that, so it's unbelievable.
Well, these are some of your highlights here running out.
We lost that game against Swan Districts.
Who was your fierce rival over there?
That bloke there, number 5, Ron Boucher. He was the strongest man I've ever seen. He does black belt. He got a black belt in karate.
And you had a foundation out as well?
Yeah, we've got a foundation going, Stephen Michael Foundation. We go all over the place. We go up to Marble Bar, Meekatharra, Carnarvon, out on the South Australia border, and then we go down to Dunsborough and Bustle and all that, and plus the metropolitan areas, people loaded with all the schools that we go to.
Yeah, and where to next? Obviously, you're coming in now. You have the MCG. Third out Nichols Road, not finished just yet. There's games in SA, games back home in Perth.
Yep.
Where are you heading to next?
Well, I'm going home tomorrow and go and watch Port and Dockers play. Like I say, I'm very, very humbled that the people in the AFL and Tanya Kosh and these guys who've been supporting me along the way, and they've been pushing the barrel.
So you've been watching the footy tonight. What's inspired you tonight? Where would you play if you were playing today?
Well, I think I'll get left out or maybe reported.
Reported?
Maybe, because I'm one of these guys, if the ball's between me and the ball, I'm going to run through you.
Well, thank you for having a chat with us, and hopefully you get to enjoy the second half of this footy as well.
I'm very humbled to be standing alongside you two guys, because we do watch you, and I've got a nephew named after you. They call him Eddie Betts. It's a great thrill and great honour to be with you two champions.
No worries, thank you.
How beautiful. If you remember nothing else from Sir Doug Nichols around the hands of Stephen Michael, they swallow yours up when you have the privilege to shake his hand. The Tigers have got a bit of work to do. They've shown plenty so far. They're 9 points down at half-time. What does it all have in store for us? Dream time at the G. It makes its first appearance on a Friday night. Will it be a thriller?
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox. Brought to you by Industry.
All right, folks, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Of course, the bounce of the ball for the second half coming up in 3 minutes' time. Don't forget, folks, hey, if you haven't put your vote in who you think's going to win, make sure you do that. Still Essendon 70%. we've got on our poll there this evening to win this game. Hey, well, I've got you there. Let me just tell you about the next games coming up, of course. And of course, tomorrow we've got football action happening again, and it all kicks off at 12:35 p.m. Melbourne time. Should be an absolute ring-a-ding-ding game. Who's going to win this? Oh, it's anyone's question. That's happening all at Marvel Stadium. That's Carlton. The Carlton Blues taking on the GWS Giants. That's the first game kicking off tomorrow. And of course, straight after that, 4:15 p.m. Melbourne time at the MCG. Probably the match of the round, just about, I would imagine. We've got Hawthorn taking on Brisbane Lions. That's going to be an absolute fantastic game there, folks. And of course, the game following that is the game I'll be covering. Of course, it's the Collingwood North Melbourne taking on Collingwood at Marvel Stadium. I tell you what, that's going to be a fascinating game. That's a game, well, that's going to be interesting because North Melbourne coming off a good win last week. And of course, Collingwood sitting on top of the ladder. They'll definitely want to win that game to remain on top or extend their lead on top. And of course, a game that's also being played around about the same time will be Fremantle and Port Adelaide. Of course, you'll probably be able to cover listen to that game either on the Adrian Sports channel or Game Board channel. I'll probably cover that one. And of course, Sunday, we've got 3 more matches coming up on Sunday to round out round 11. You've got Adelaide taking on the West Coast Eagles over there at Adelaide Stadium. That kicks off at 1:10 p.m. Melbourne time on Sunday. Of course, you've got a game running into that one, which is Melbourne-Sydney. That's going to be a fascinating game, folks. Both teams coming off good wins. That's going to be anyone's game. MCG, that's going to be played at Sunday, 3:20 p.m. And the final game, round 11, we've got going to round that off. We'll probably be able to do the last half of this game. Will be St Kilda and the Gold Coast Suns, again at Marvel Stadium. Here's a game where, I'll tell you what, the Saints need to win. And I'll tell you what, the teams in the top 6 will be looking for the Saints to win to roll Gold Coast Suns, because Gold Coast Suns are looking reasonably dangerous where they sit on the ladder. Of course, they've still got a game in hand, just like Essendon do. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. If we want to have a little bit of a quick glance while we are here, I'll let you know who Essendon and Richmond are playing next week. These two teams, Essendon and Richmond, tell you what, Essendon's got a tough game next week, of course, so Essendon will be certainly looking forward to winning this game tonight. The Tigers will be out there to stop them. Essendon next week play Brisbane Lions at the Gabba. That's next Thursday night football. And of course, Richmond, they've also got to travel up to Angie Stadium there in Sydney. They're going to be playing the GWS Giants next Saturday afternoon. That's the Tigers and the GWS Giants. And, of course, Essendon played Brisbane next Thursday night. So a couple of tough games for these two teams next week. But this is going to be a fantastic game. Both teams out there to win tonight. Big crowd in nearly a packed stadium. Dream time at the G. It's one of those great calendar events I got here on the AFL. Right, folks, that's it from me. Let's head back down to the ground. We're going into the bounce of the ball for the second half. It's the Bombers by 9 points.
Might be coming off from being
Yes, so that means Morris Rioli Jr. will get his opportunity in the third quarter. Tigers have shown plenty tonight, but it's Essendon that leads by 9 as we're into the third quarter. Goldstein had his way that time with Ryan, was able to follow it up, and his soccer went straight to Martin. Reflexes strong. It's too heavy though for Wright. It allows Gray to find a little passage out of defence. There is Rioli. Overclock for him, and so Roberts begins the round up for the Bombers, keeps it tight to the boundary. Merritt, they hustle along. Pryor rolling onto the left. Wilfie manoeuvres himself to the back for the crumbs. Perfectly placed to turn around and snap. Couldn't get past Ross.
He's done a good job on keeping Nick Floston quiet, Ralphie. He hasn't had much of the footy himself, but he's kept Floston to 7 touches.
Ross steers the pass out to Broad. Tigers looking to break on the members' wing. They'll be patient. Taranto slides, doesn't have it, so it is spotted by the Caldwell. Just a bit too easy, worked him off it. Gresham with the centering ball. It's to be dealt with. Caldwell has it, sweeps the hand pass high res. Foster got taken high. Froston can plonk the way right through the middle. It's a shocking kick. Straight turn over to Pryor. How costly might it prove? Pryor to the teeth of goal. Caddy, vertical leap, didn't bring it down. Guelphy to Clark again. Seems like the only way home. He didn't have it this time. Banks kick smothered. Merritt trying to find the way. It's a mad scramble inside the 50. Centering ball was a good one. Perkins couldn't bring it in. Foston away. Smith. Perkins had it momentarily. Was he pushed in the back? No. Rioli, can he get it out of there? No. Roberts, make some sense of it. Merritt's against plenty. Ross hasn't.
Stood his ground well. Used his height advantage.
Up the ante a little bit here. You feel that the pressure from Essendon's gone up a notch.
Might have got a stern word or two at half-time in that regard. Lawler spectacular, didn't bring it down. McGrath composed, and the hands take them forward to Clark, part of the chain. It's Caldwell's responsibility to set it right. He can't bring it down. Durham, such a reliable conveyance. To his feet, Kenny. Finishes it beautifully. And the Bombers start the third as they finish the second and take what could be a decisive advantage. Great to see Kenny kick his first in Essendon out to a 15-point lead.
That's the Durham factor again. So he's just changed this whole makeup now. They were going inside 50 in that first half and not having a big contest. But here he is again, another direct goal assist. So he's been enormous in the last 10 to 15 minutes. And the other bonus of it is, Jace, is that Broad has had to go to him, such has been his influence in this short period of time. So you take away one of the attacking weapons that Richmond have had that first half in Nathan Broad, and he has to go to Durham, who now emerges as the most dangerous player on the ground.
It just continues to show his strength at ground level. So hard to tackle.
Richmond need to conjure a response here. Taranto kick ripped off his boot almost by Merritt. Back into dispute. Goldstein can't quite release it. Should we hit Eddie Betts?
Redman just ran off before the half started, straight down to the toilet. He just came back up just then, holding his tummy, and just took a couple of tablets. And he's sitting on the bench, so he must have got a sore tummy.
Rioli put Mansell into space from long range, looking to bring the craft to join his arms. That's the goal he wanted, Ryan Mansell. And Morris Rioli played a key hand.
Well, they needed something. The clearance goal for the Tigers. Third, please, Anamuze. Some slick hands involved there, and that's a great finish on the run. Mansell hasn't found a lot of the ball, just the 5 possessions, but there's the clearance win. And this hand pass back inside from Rioli was beautifully weighted, great vision. And there's the open goal square because the forwards had come up the ground, gives the player with the ball options, and Mansell just set sail for home. It's a great finish and much needed goal to the Tigers, gets them back in the contest.
Yeah, had given up 5 of the last 7 goals, so they needed a response, and they get it from a really talented half forward here, Ryan Mansell.
Pumped down. Ryan taps it, now scrounges on. McIntosh with a bit of heavy lifting in there.
Did you ever have a sore tummy, Jace? Did you have to go off with?
Don't be mischievous, guys.
Martin read the tap beautifully. They get into a handball chain from Merritt out to Roberts. Perkins fell over but got back to his feet. In time to give it back to McGrath. Caddy suddenly to focus. Ross the thwart underneath. Smith didn't have a man at the back, although Miller was rushed. Smith lost that last line. It's the moment of indecision between Taranto and Banks as who was going to chase after it. They sorted out a little unconvincingly. The ball not getting any easier to handle. Taranto back to Banks. Attempts to smother. The pressure was enough to force the error.
So this is their 6th intercept in the forward half of the quarter. So this is exactly how modern games are played. Good teams keep the ball in their half, intercept in their front half, send it back in.
Been in the high 20s the last 4 games, Robertson. He's on his way again. His 21st disposal, right was the focus. Taranto had to find someone to give it to. McIntosh was the ideal man. And back through Floston. Can they get out this time? Rel Smith the contest. Merritt, too good. The hands were so slick. Perkins to Caldwell. Gresham on the move. Pryor sets it up. They attack again through the same pocket and pretty much get the same result.
Goal apiece at the start of the half. But Essendon dominating territory.
8-1 inside 50s for the quarter.
Goldstein looking to provide the service. Floston using all his experience to hold the Bombers up.
What they have done is they've set up better behind the ball now. The Bombers are actually holding the ball in their forward half, which they were unable to do in the first couple of quarters.
Ryan out to Taranto, Paul with the footy again. Gresham couldn't make anything of it.
19 disposals. He's had his lowest 2 games for the season in the past fortnight, just 19 and 20. He's already reached that mark early in the third.
33 coach's salutes in all. Started the season so well. Goldstein put it into space, Broad got himself out of the ground, but Durham won the footy. Caddy probably pinched what was heading for Caldwell, who had to turn tackler. And he's stuck in this sector of the ground.
He nearly created something against Sam Durham. Just his strength at ground level, strength over the ball, the ability to get it out.
You saw the concentration of players. Still Caldwell's out to extract, and Merritt's pretty quiet. Slip it in. His goalkeeper's kind of rushes so far this year. Zach Merritt. 8 goals in total. 4 and 2, lots of 2. Tigers on their way out. Next runs to receive again. Ross. Change of direction. There's nothing really in the picture that impressed him, but he made something of it. Campbell on the same wavelength. His eyes to the corridor. I still think it might be attainable. Hopper back to Banks. Worked it well, and McIntosh was on the same wavelength as him. And Campbell was to one side and Taranto to the other.
When they kick off the line, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
It's just when they're predictable, it gets easy to defend for Essendon. But that whole chain for the back half were kicks that were just off where you'd think they were going to go. Either just pulled inside or squared up.
Feels like he's right on his outer limits here. Ansel and Laverty with plenty of words to say to each other. Sealy Green just sneaks into the pocket to give him an offering. He kicked a goal early in the night that even he could barely believe. This one a little more conventional. It rolls, but it doesn't matter. It looks like underway. As long as David Roden signals it's a goal, that is all that matters. That Tiger team has 2, and Richmond are back within 4.
Well, it's a good finish in the end, but again involved in the build-up. We saw Sam Banks coming off half-back, pushing up into the middle of the ground, and he was able to hit McIntosh with a bullet fast. He's up to 18 possessions. He's at the most touches now for the Tigers since moving from a wing to half-back. There's the kick we're talking about. It gets there quickly, and it gives McIntosh options. He's able to chip it over to Taranto. Just that transition from wing-back to half-back, Banks has become a really impactful player for the Tigers.
We know they lost, sorry, kids, we know they lost at Rioli at the end of the season, and Jaden Short's been out as well, and that's given him the chance.
Yeah, he picks Merritt up when he goes forward as well. 8-2 inside 50s. The 2 inside 50s have resulted in goals. They've been against the flow, but they're keeping themselves very much in touch and in the contest.
Bombers by 4. Ruckman pretty well shared it. Durham dragged the ground. Goldstein has received 4 free kicks so far. Umpire topples over. Ryan ended up there but gave it up. Perkins squeezed the kick. Floston stood in the middle. Been doing that his whole career. Of 2 3-time Premiership Tigers sharing that back line tonight. Floston and Broad.
His first intercept mark though, Jared, so they'll take that. McGuelphy doing a great job on him.
Brown Smith. The stylish goal in that second term. Will unload the half forward, so you might be able to mark it. Goldstein put his fist into it. Reed away. Pryor, McGrath, Roberts gave ground. Setterfield needs to find a target. Links the hand pass back to McGrath. Looking to the near side, and Hobbs is on as the sub. Waited for the bouncing ball. changed his mind. Laverty gives grounds. So back inside the defensive area. Perkins to clear it, not with any great effort. And gives it straight back to the Tigers.
Gee, that was a great passage of pressure from the Tigers. They forced the Bombers back. They second-guessed. Every time they looked forward, they were confronted. Had to go back and finally made an error.
It's given time for Essendon to get set. Broad keeps it along the flank. Sims eyeing the footy. Ryan was more possible in the air, but there's Perkins. That's a better result to Kaka. Up along the wing, too strong for Kenny. Had no play to Gray over the top. Why not give to Smith? They come in a rush. There's no one on the front line for the Tigers, though. How do the umpire interpret this?
Again, a good result for the Tigers in the end. Geez, I've been impressed with Campbell Gray. Some of the things he's done in one of the key defensive roles, attacking the ball, the ability to play on and replay really well. Been impressive. Just game number 2.
Ryan, there's a goal on offer here. Lawless only had the one kick tonight, and it was a goal. Goldstein has to get rid of it. Pryor up against the last line. And out towards the boundary, so one way or another, you'd think, yes, sufficient intent.
It's the pressure again that James you're talking about. So they're going to realise here that they've got Essendon under the pump.
Sharp lead Law, the kick too strong for him. It beat a whole lot of lines of defences, and in the end, it's through for another minor score.
Adam Muse is trying by osmosis to teach forward craft. That's not the plan. That's not the plan.
No, they've just got to reset. They've got to work around. They've got to make sure they got one up, one back.
Reed pumps it in. Did an ungainly pack. Goldstein stayed out, but he almost had it up to Caddy. He does have it, but they all have him. They topple the big oak and then run down Durham, holding the ball.
Pressure, good pressure. It's up. The Tigers have got a sniff here. Had a really good 5 minutes.
He's a bit proppy. Durham a bit proppy coming off. I hope he wasn't holding the hammy.
Ross winds it up. It'll be to another milling pack. No real rises, and over the back for a throw-in.
Just the one touch for Lawler, as Hutto's just pointed out. Oh, this is something you keep an eye on, Jason. This couldn't possibly be.
That's
knock.
It's been the driving force for the Bombers, who are clinging to a lead. Sharp one, McCall off to Taranto. Just kept it moving goal sides. Didn't amount to much. Right, Laverty squeezed it out straight to Ross. Not a mark though. And passed it around to Brown. Looking for a target. Gee, there were targets everywhere. He couldn't find one. McGrath banks it onto the boot, so the Tigers should be able to reset. There'll be a fair way back by the time Miller gets hold of it. He gives more ground to Broad. The switch is on. He balked at it though. Miller, took his eye off it. Now there's trouble. Clark has it. Miller sticks the tackle and made sure he didn't get away.
What a great tackle. That's how you make up for a mistake. He didn't throw him to ground, Gaz, but he just held him up and said, "You're mine."
He did it.
That was good.
The Miller and the Woodcutter going at it down the line. High ball, another big pack, and clever from Trainer over the top. Gets it again. By Pryor, stabs it into the middle for Perkins. Roberts ran and now receives. Quick, long, down to Merritt. Caddy's coming, he's waiting at the back. Broad decided to spoil, not mark. He might still regret that. Merritt hairs after it. He's going to put a tackle on Ralph Smith. Brings him to ground, looks to the umpire, pleads to the umpire. And still he goes.
I think that's just a decision based on the conditions taken. Broad he'd normally intercept mark that. He decided to double-fist it, just playing safe in the conditions. Just have a look at Sam Durham here. He gets tackled, and then he comes straight off, just holding. You see him feel for that? Let's hope he's okay.
The best physios and masseurs onto that. Perkins tracks it down. McGrath start to sense the Bombers' frustration a little bit. Again, the chain of handballs, and Laverty just whacks it deep. Caddy had a mind to fly the pack. Couldn't quite complete it. Floston still there for Caldwell. Caddy ready and waiting. Hands look good, but Sims was also waiting. Caddy wins it back. And from the pocket, he slides it low, but wrong side of the big stick.
And Redmond's back on now. He spent 10 minutes on the bench. He did a couple of run-throughs. Grabbed his tummy again, so we'll see how he goes.
Banks marks the kick in. Had a lot to work with, so kept it shallow for Taranto. Taranto just waves Banks to stay viable on the outside. Fellas have moved their grid across the near side to thwart the efforts initially. Taranto. Not back to Banks. Taranto's changed his mind 2 or 3 times here. Floston, just enough. Where to next? Thump it up the line. See what comes of it. Fall in the van. Campbell, good hands. Out to Trainer, off to Mansell. Worked it onto McCaw. Awkward ball for Sims. They all came to him. Ross kept it going. Caddy with the goals on offer. Laura kicks the goal. His second kick, his second goal.
There's all dust up back here on centre wing. They're all getting a bit involved. Heated Sims, young Sims got washed in that play. Just watch Trainer in this. I think Luke Trainer's got something about him, and maybe they've recognised that he's got some creativity that can make things happen forward of the ball here. So you just see the handball that he gives. This is a good forward handball here, and he comes up. And that's where Sims gets sorted out. But this handball here from Trainer, that's a great give. And I think there's something about him. So I love the fact that he's now gone forward to see if he can get creative. Maybe one of Sims or 4 might go behind the footy at some stage. Who knows? But I think Adam Uze's finding out about his group.
He's operating at 100%, Sammy Lawler. Two kicks, 2 goals.
Yeah, whether they needed to move him and try and find him some more footy, but they're pretty happy with what he's producing.
Guys, as you saw on the big screen there, Zach Reid has gone down as well for Essendon. So Durham, a couple of minutes ago now, Reid, so we'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Sean. Out of the middle, left footer from Merritt, just tucked it back for Perkins. Miller was ready for the design of the kick. That might have been some high contact. It's the 4th time this year Sam Lawler has kicked 2 goals in a game here at the MCG.
And they're starting to score from the back half, Hutto. So 3 goals from the back half this quarter. Starting to get through a bit.
5 free kicks to nil for the quarter. Tiger fans will like that. Trainer with a launch from the logo, kept it in short, but Laverty found it predictable enough. Setterfield knew it a handball to Dersma, had to keep his hands clean. Rel Smith ran it to Gresham. Laverty back to McGrath with a run-up. So hacks it forward. Caddy seen to Miller. But how good was that to himself? Oozing with class. Had to wait until he saw a friendly face, and that was Hobbs, who stays in the fight despite that he was outnumbered, and that might have earned a free kick here. Yes, he has. What about that from Nick Martin? Why bend over if you don't need to? Credit teeth. Ben Hobbs, start of the night is the sub. Activated with the injury to Langford. Top of the square, it was all Richmond there on the drop of the ball, and it gets through to the hind post.
Just trying to work out what's going on with Sam Durham. Doesn't seem to be any ice or anything on that left hamstring area, hip area. So let's hope that it's just a knock and not a strain. So they need to get him back out there.
Product of Richmond's VFL team. The order was to stay out. That allowed Wright to pick it up and snap a much-needed goal. Essendon reclaims the lead in a method that will disappoint the Richmond hierarchy in particular. But take your opportunities when they arise, whatever they do.
Gee, that's inexcusable. It's okay to say, well, no one nominates, so there's no one in the ruck, but understand the rules. Be there and grab him as soon as the ruckman takes the ball out of the ground. They all just stay metres away.
You can pull that back. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. It's a goal. It's a kick. Yep. Just go back to your group.
That's Jacob.
Yeah,
I'm talking to the central umpire. He says we'll talk about it.
Presumably he was saying that he did nominate.
He's saying they did nominate. Is that what you're hearing from what?
I'm just presuming that. I'm not sure what else you can...
Yeah. But Jason's right. It did fall short, Jason. I think that's the other thing. The boundary throwing didn't sort of end up where they would have anticipated, but you must be aware of it.
No one came at it.
Guys, and some good news for Essendon. Durham's back on the field. He's just gone to centre half forward. So that's good news for Essendon.
Eighth lead change of the night. Essendon in front. Umpire goes over. Probably missed the high contacts on Hopper as a result.
Pass clear a path. Yeah.
That should be a fine. Coming for the previous. Goldstein had it stolen by Taranto out to the wing where the chase is on. Dersma leads the way off his boot straight to the boundary. It's an accident. Gibbs good turn of speed to open up some possibilities. Be overkicked Green and Redmond gives some ground. Pryor. As the Bombers look to set up to the far side. Roberts is headed out there. Rioli's on the Corrali. Roberts finds a way. Keeps progress going to Martin. In the true wing position. Targets are on up ahead. Clark has it. 3 to his name. Winds it up to...
From Essendon, so they go from one side of the ground to the other. They use every different piece of grass as you can. There's Zach Reed back on the bench, so let's hope that that's good news and he's back out there early as soon as we can. But they really spread Richmond there and just couldn't finish.
Thanks to Caleb Smith.
Clearance is a bit of a problem for the Tigers. They're 13 down at the minute.
Smith playing just his 9th game. Most of them has been as a sub. Tigers able to win it out of the pack. Taranto, the forward handball to set Rioli. An exciting crowd, unfortunately, the ball behind. Went back to retrieve, ran into more traffic, courtesy of Martin, and that's knocked over rather definitively by Laverty. He's going to pay it. Yeah, he's going to pay it here. Insufficient intent. Out of zone umpire. What that might have been for Maurice Rioli.
Yeah, Nick Martin was breathing a sigh of relief. He drops a mark and looked like he's going to pay a big price, but got away with it. Just delicately balanced right now.
That's the tension that I think everyone in the stadium is starting to feel as it gets closer to three-quarter time. Essendon certainly can't shake the Tigers at the moment. Their lead is a meagre 5. Laverty along the wing. Caddy. Gray for company. Smith again at the back where he should be. Gray and towards Smith roughly in the boundary line. That was enough for the umpire.
So well into time on in this third term. Bombers by 5. Ryan and Goldstein form up once more. Campbell into a dead end.
Let's go straight up. Samson. Top. Come straight back.
3 goals to 2 the Tigers' way in this term. It's the Bombers who lead it, and coming through Durham with another clearance to set a half forward. McIntosh, brilliantly done. Held Dersma at bay with one arm, took the mark with the other. Kick into centre field, McAuliffe. So that's Reed being looked at by the medical staff. Justin Fletcher watches on. Reed had played 9 consecutive games coming here tonight. He played 9 games across the years of his career. It's just been getting a run at it, so a lot of fingers will be crossed on an Essendon front, which will chip in and around.
Get an update from Sean and Eddie in a moment on that, Jared.
Foston out of half back. Broad presents for him.
Zach Reed has just been out with hamstring tightness now, so that's not good news for the Bombers.
That's 2 gone now. Making life very tough for the Bombers.
Hopper with footy in hand. I wonder what that does to the Richmond mode in the last quarter. Hopper gives his forwards a look. It's a wonky kick. Full front position. The right place to be.
There's one of those things that he does. He just bobs up.
Yep.
Comes at the ball on this occasion. See, there's upside on. You could have him for a couple of training sessions, Chief, and you can turn him around. He's got so much going for him, and the more footy he plays, the more naturally this will come to him. But this is a big kick here. The Bombers have had it in there on their terms a bit in this quarter.
Jonty Ford roasted it, Coley teed it up.
Might be able to help him with that.
Dragged it into
The moment he started running in, when he went sideways and off a couple of steps, I thought he's out of his comfort range here. That's nearly a nair swing. It's at the inside of the foot.
Just the required to Pryor. Tries to get things sorted ahead. Takes a cautious approach to Laverty. And now to Clark. Required of this quarter.
It's got to be a 50.
Yep.
You can hear the umpire continued to say stand to McIntosh, and he kept backing away. He wanted to get outside 5.
And we know the kid can run, and he shows it now. Wright tells him where he wants it placed. Top of the goal square. A couple go down, and maybe it's an Essendon free to Guelphy.
He got pushed in the mark. I think he was denied a run at the footy. I think you'll find is what was being paid. Yeah, front on contact from Banks. So the problem here is Banks has got his back to the ball, and Guelphy. I think Guelphy, he made it easy for the umpire in the end.
He did, but one thing you've got to learn as you move into defence, Sam Banks has got to learn how to defend as well, because there will come a time when you are put under the microscope.
Collective groan for the Tiger fans as they watch the replay. But Matt Guelphy, first game for the season, has turned himself into a bit of a goal kicker up front. And he shows those skills. He's had to wait a long time this year. So there'll be particular delight in that as the Bombers lead is back out to 11 points. They're winning the quarter narrowly.
Yeah, the first thing that he as you say, he's going to have to learn, young Banks, is this: he turns his back. It's just a red flag for an umpire. So as soon as he turns his back on the footy and he's not watching, then the officiating umpires will go to him. It just gets drawn to him. And whether you think it's had an impact or not, it's pretty hard to deny, because he could say, I want to have a run at the footy, I want to have a run and jump at the ball, and Banks is not looking at it. So from that point of view, he's always going to be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, they had ample numbers down back too, but I mean, it was the 50 given away by McIntosh. I suspect he couldn't hear the umpire trying to tell him, stand, because he just kept backpedaling.
2 costly errors for the Tigers. It grants Essendon an 11-point lead. They go to work again in the middle. Darren to Caldwell. Flings it onto Setterfield. Works the kick to half forward. Hobbs had it knocked away by Banks. Ground ball to go after. Clark and McIntosh. They ran past it. Clark will receive it and find a way through. Guides the Bombers inside 50. Smith didn't deal with it. Trying to find the way. Gresham hand passed into space. McIntosh worked him over. Flostone and Brown clear the area for the Tigers. Mackay over the top. Pushes it to the boundary.
So forward half intercepts in the half. So they've had, in their forward half this quarter, they've had 12 Essendon, which is as good as any team this year, bar one. So keeping it there in the half, it's become a territory game. Richmond's efficiency when they go forward is what's been impressive for them this quarter.
Goldstein attacking side. Caldwell trying to work it on, handed it off to Goldstein out the back, Setterfield, and then Merritt to pop the way forward for the Bombers. High ball for Guelphy right against the boundary. Landed on the paint for a throw-in. So Reid and Langford out on one side of it, Dow out on the other. The last quarter pending with the game in the balance. Tigers have to be careful not to concede a late one as they did on the way to half-time. Kako is on the move at the stoppage. Rioli cuts it off, ties it up.
The problem is they're getting smashed at clearance here. So every single time there's a stoppage, you hold your breath if you're a Richmond fan. Kako gets that again and gets out into space. They're in all sorts of trouble.
Zach Reid all on his own at the back of the stoppage.
It went straight to Merritt, who lofts and hopes.
Zach Merritt. Zach Reid.
Good effort down low. Desperation again for Adam Uzo's sharing reference to late goal in the previous quarter.
He can roost the ball, Peter Wright.
He certainly can.
So we know this is within his capabilities.
He has one under his belt tonight, as we saw from the ruck contest. 10 for the season in his 6th game. What a boost this could be. Quite hit it perfectly. He wasn't far off. Sims gets the acclaim of his teammates for doing what he needed to do.
2 goals neat. Bombers have edged their way clear. 5 to 9 to 12 at each quarter break. Smith receives the kick in.
Just been stifled with their ball movement in the second half. Finding life tough. The Tigers, a lot of it's been long up the line.
And so it is again. Sims and Ryan will be the two flyers. Goldstein brought it to grounds. 2-goal game in the final change, and the Bombers favour Dreamtime on a Friday night.
So quarter to go, and the Bombers by 2 in Dreamtime at the G. Still plenty of great footy to come in Doug Nicholls' round. Huge crowd at the MCG. A big occasion for the Giants and Toby Green, but so too for Carlton. That kicks things off on Super Saturday Live. It's Carlton and GWS to get things started.
All right, folks, three-quarter time as the Bombers by 2 straight goals. The Bombers in the third term putting on 3 goals 4. The Tigers putting on 3 goals 1. Just when the Tigers hit the front in that third term, we thought maybe the Tigers were, they're on a roll. But the Bombers hit back hard. I'll tell you what, there's still hope for the Tigers. Look, the Tigers have hit the lead in each of the 3 quarters, but the Bombers have just pressed back hard and regained that lead. Now, can the Tigers do that again? We'll just have to wait and see. We're only 4 minutes away from the final quarter. It's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game. It's, you know what? It's probably who's got the fresher legs out there that could possibly be the tale of the story here tonight. But what a fantastic, interesting game we've got here. Dreamtime at the G, 9-8-62. The Bombers 7-8-50 for the Tigers. Ducky, shouty, life for a life. How you going? How much disposals does Jai Caldwell have? Well, let's just go and have a look at that right now. Let's go and have a look at the goal scorers, and then we'll have a look at Jai Caldwell. Angus Clark tops the table with 3. He kicked those 3 in the opening half of the Bombers. Nick Martin with 2. Peter Wright with 1. Goofy with 1. Durham and Caddy with 1 for the Tigers. Tim Taranto's got 2. Sam Lawler with 2. Of course, Ralph Smith Mansell. Full the single goal scorers for the Tigers. Jai Caldwell. Let's see where we can find him. There we go. Jai Caldwell. Top of the table is Archie Roberts leading away with 26. 13 and 13. 2 marks of clearance. Just for 1 behind. Andy McGrath. I tell you what, they want to stop him. He does a bit of damage there for the Bombers. He's a playmaker. 25. Zach Merritt also 24. Jai Caldwell. There's Jai Caldwell, the man you're asking about. 24 disposals so far. 7 kicks, 17 handballs, 1 mark, 6 tackles, 5 clearances. That's how Jai Caldwell's going, so he's going all right. Sam Banks is the best of the Tigers with 23, and then Tim Taranto on 21. But the top playmakers are all from the Bombers. Nick Martin on 22 also. Archie Perkins on 20 with Sam Durham. Let's roll down. Anyone else you want to have a look at, let us know, or you might be able to see as we roll on down slowly. Dersman's on 16. Jack Ross, 15. Nathan Broad, 16 there for the Tigers. Tom Brown. Peter Wright finally kicked a goal. 13 disposals. Odds of Mason Redmond getting 20 disposals. You just never know. I haven't got the odds for that. Thank you. Just like the channels, I like the video, bro. Thanks, Live for a Lot. Appreciate that. Good stuff. Good to have you here. Appreciate it. Angus Clark there with 12. Let's keep going down. Nate Caddy just with the 9 touches. Well, he's been thereabouts. 1 goal, 2. All right, Morris Rioli, just the 2 touches. I'll tell you what, Morris Rioli needs to get in the game. He should have some fresh legs coming in. Mason Redmond, there's your man there that you're asking about. What's the odds of him getting 20? I'll tell you what, he'll want a massive last quarter. He's only had 12 touches so far, 7 kicks, 5 handballs, 4 marks. That is it. He's still got to get another 8, so it could be tough for him to get to 20. You just never know. Some of these final quarters, some of the players do have a breakout final quarter, so it should be very, very interesting. All right, there we go. Let's put it back to the scoreboard. Who's going to win? I'm not sure. Hey, but the poll so far is 69% saying Essendon. I still tip Richmond. I don't know. I tell you what, it's just I don't know. I just like the way Richmond go about it. As I keep saying, I think Richmond are going to be a force to be reckoned with over the next couple of seasons. There's still a learning in progress down there at Tigerland, all their young players. So it's going to be this will be a great lesson for these players. So of course Essendon, just a couple of their experienced players. That could be the difference between these games, but we'll just have to wait and find out. I tell you what, it's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding final quarter, folks. Hey, that's enough of me talking. Let's get back to the footy action. Let's get back down to the ground of the commentators where they'll bounce the ball in just a moment for the final quarter. Dream time at the G. Who's going to take this game out? Your guess is as good as mine. So far, three-quarter time. It's the Bombers by 12. Let's head into the final quarter.
They'll look to do in the fourth term for the Tigers. Well, they need to get bold again with some of their ball movement. It's just dropped off. I think the Bombers got themselves better organised behind the footy, and it meant that the Tigers more often than not, in fact nearly all the time, just went long up the line, and that's not going to get it done for them.
They've got to get some energy into their game, Richmond, and challenge them. If they're a little bit down from a numbers point of view, just ask the question. This youthful enthusiasm. Their back half stood up pretty well. I mean, you've kept Essendon to 9 goals in 3 quarters of footy. You'd probably take that. They've just got to find a bit more energy inside the forward 50 and maybe connect a little bit better. There's been something like 98 inside 50s for the game, and there's been 3 marks. Now it's up to actually 4 marks each, 98 entries.
Both sides have been reasonable in final quarters this year. Essendon 5 wins, 4 times they've lost, and Richmond 5 and 5.
They've played consecutive thrillers at the MCG. Richmond's one either side of it. They're a fraction further back, 2 goals down. As the Bombers, with the advantages, head into the final term, although they are a man down. Goldstein down to Caldwell, breaks his way clear. Martin's been influential, tosses it to half forward. Caddy, good gather and release. He's trying to put Guelphy into space. Froston disputed it. Up to Dersma. Found the way. Kako shares it out wide. Roberts has had a stack of it. He uses it for Clark, and why wouldn't he?
I'm sure what sort of distance he's got in him, the young man. It's suggesting this might stretch him, so I think he's going to have a crack at it. Let's go and have a go, son.
He has taken our breath away. Angus Clark to the top of the square. Right, stumbled as he went to lead. Dersma's got it. His snap is not online.
It was a good kick in the end, and Dersma should have taken
Should have marked it, yep.
Instead, the lead is extended by just 1. Tucks the kick into the back pocket to Gray.
And they really can't afford to concede the Tigers. They're last in terms of points for. So to win this game, they've kind of got to kick 3 or 4 goals to 1 or none.
Yeah. Slight adjustment of direction, bit of pushing and shoving in the milling pack. Ross Smith with the forward handball to Campbell, but he quickly encounters a couple of talented Bombers in Merritt and Martin. Miller limps away.
Yeah, not sure they can afford an outnumber down the line either, so Trainer pushes back, takes Redmond.
Goldstein almost had the handcuffs on there. He still managed to get the tap down.
1-on-1 everywhere, except at the stoppage. So Merritt off the back and Banks off the back for Richmond.
Risky leaving Zach Merritt on his own at the back of stoppages, guys.
100%. But this is Banks, this is his opponent.
9-1 the favour of the umpire. There's Banks's kick. Up to the 50, and Mackay was able to keep forward at bay. Then he boldly kicks to Caldwell at the point of the square. So the emphatic switch is on. Roberts continues to mount the numbers. Just steadied himself. Curls the kick away. Again aimed at young Clark. Worked over by Ross, close to the boundary line.
Bombers have done well to keep Seth Campbell in check tonight. He's had the 9 possessions, but no scoreboard impact, which is rare.
Tigers could really use it. He's up around the stoppage at the moment. Ryan took a bit of territory. Clark confronted by Taranto.
Just continues to impress, doesn't he? Angus Clark, 13 possessions, kicked those 3 first half goals, but been involved in a number of passages, looks very composed.
There's Seth Campbell, only been goalless twice this year so far.
Rucks ready themselves. Goldstein another tap. Durham releases Martin. Bombers coming forward with purpose. Brown set himself on the intercept. He's safely got it in hand.
That's the problem with only having one Sam Durham. So you win the ball in the contest and kick inside 50, and that's where he's been effective as well.
Board issued the instructions, Banks follows.
And this is what they've basically been brought back to. The Tigers, they'll switch it, they'll go wide, and then ultimately kick long up the line, which is suiting the Bombers.
Essendon by 13. Kai reads it best and is happy to go backwards, such as Essendon's mode. Merritt knew what was coming. Now Mackay makes himself a target back on the wing, but he decides not to pull the trigger, at least not yet. Laverty, frustrated as he looked ahead, is beckoning to his teammates to give him something. Merritt's going to take it on anyway. It almost faltered. Instead, Durham's hop might pay off. The handball chain, they stay just ahead of the game. Kako to Guelphy into the pocket. Perkins is as sharp a shooter as they have. And the Bombers celebrate another, and they're out to a 19-point lead, which is going to be very hard from here for Richmond to reel back in.
Yeah, they look like they've got a bit more creativity. Mind you, that came from a shape from Zach Merritt in the middle of the ground. I think Tim Taranto will be disappointed that he couldn't intercept that. Just allowed it to get over the back through the fingertips, and then they were done. Then there was some good chasing from behind, but they couldn't cut it off. They had numbers forward with the ball, and an easy goal in the end. You've got to take your turnovers where you can get them, and Taranto just unable to reel that one in.
Yeah, so if it keeps going like this, it's going to be almost impossible for Richmond. So do they keep playing conservatively long down the line where their key forwards now are tiring and Ben Mackay starting to pick them off? Or do they go, no, let's take it on, let's see if we can run and do something a bit different?
I've seen a few passages where they've hit that 45 kick quickly off 1 or 2 steps, and they go quick and they open up the ground and they look really good, but they've just stopped doing it. Perhaps the Bombers have stopped it.
Perkins has kicked 11 goals, 3 this season, to illustrate Hutto's point. Taranto and Caldwell engaged. Banks up to the stoppage, had a fresh area. Taranto again tackled the ground.
And the clearances are now they're 18 down, so that also is an avenue forward, but they just can't get their hands on it in the stoppage.
Caldwell able to release, but only as far as McIntosh just muscled it out. Ball to be won on the wing. Ralph Smith reached for it, couldn't get it. Caldwell instead brings it away to Pryor. Chips for Caddy. Spoil made by Gray. Underneath Pryor. Just went round and round, surely on the bell lap. The whistle would have blown, but not to be. Throw it in.
Zach Merritt still just cruising around on his own there, just off the back of this stoppage.
How can the Tigers spark this to life if it doesn't happen in the next few minutes? It probably doesn't happen. So a rare stoppage win. Hopper to a 2-on-2. Mackay worked his way to the front, kept in dispute by Trainer, but Mackay emerged with it, just brushed them off. Hand pass for Redmond. Steers low down. Gray anticipated it well.
Yeah, I think he's been impressive, Campbell Gray. Really impressive with a number of the things he's done tonight. He'll back himself in, attack the footy when he gets the opportunity. Got good leg speed for a big man too.
Yeah, and spoiled too, Jace. So at ground level and up high.
Broad handled the half volley well. Marking targets are not really there. And Pryor, Laverty did all the body work to open the intercept.
Yeah, well, that's not the way forward. They've got to be a bit creative now, this Richmond side, because the young key forwards have just got no strength in their legs, so they're better off kicking the grass when they go forward right now.
And I think allowing Merritt just to run loose behind the ball is not helping their cause either.
Going to get involved for a second time in this phase with Martin. Stabs to Caddy. Promising Bill. Right. Doubles back, comes up to the football and takes the mark easily.
So it just looks like they're flagging and tiring. Now, whether that's physical or mental, you can make up your own mind, but certainly when they go forward, they've got no potency at all, and they're pretty much picking them off at will in their back half, Essendon, and then just creating when they go forward.
Classic case of what we were talking about before. Peter Wright's running back towards goal, does the hook lead, comes back at the kicker and makes it an easy pass to make to Caddy.
Richmond 14 players under 50 tonight. They've given it a fair crack. Peter Wright. And Richmond stay alive.
Sammy Lawler's just come off, went down the race, holding his left hamstring. So there you go. You see that right there, and doesn't look good for Richmond.
It's an epidemic at the minute.
Yes, it's taking its toll this game tonight.
The hamstrings are popping all over the country week to week.
It's not a great kick in. Smith trying to get out of the tight spots. As a result, he lagged the hand pass around and tried to find the way for Brown, who did okay. Trainer on the first bounce, clattered into.
Tom Brown looks like one that's still got plenty of bounce and running. His legs been pretty solid in the back half.
That was silly by Trainer.
I think he's got the capacity to do that as well, Luke Trainer.
He just threw Martin to the ground. And right in front of the umpire, he's got to pay that.
Wilting physically and mentally the Tigers. Martin up to Dersma. They mill deep, and Dersma's going to give them a look at it. Clark had a fly at it, brought it down. Durham trickles it to goal. It's offline.
So 9 score involvements, 10 score involvements now for Sam Durham. It's had a massive impact on this game.
He looks like winning the footy every time it goes near him.
The kid set himself again too, didn't he, there, Clark? Searching for a fourth if he can. Can Richmond get it past the wing? Verdi.
It's another long kick down the line that probably should have been intercept mark again, Jay. So they're nearly out of ideas, the Tigers.
Play exclusively at the punt road end for the moment. Caddy couldn't lay hands on it. Broad, wasn't quite sure how to go about it. It was a bit awkward for everyone. Durham turns tackling mode. Tigers fans a little restless. Rice taps to the outside. Durham, Kako. He couldn't, could he? For a fourth.
He was nearly off celebrating too. That would have been a ripper.
Wow. It's just ready-made, isn't he? He's played a super game.
Well, Brad Scott did say it was a matter of when, not if, he was going to come in. And once he got in, he said, I want him to stay in.
Flustering kicks it, Dersma attacks it, trying to force the turnover. It's made high contact on Smith.
So they've got to get this to the other side, see if they can run. Don't go down the line again.
Well, he's got a player on, but Campbell Gray's in the hands of the trainers and he had his back to him.
Oh, that is high risk as a result. Miller rises, put it down to Brown, who found the way out. So the Tigers live to tell the tale. Ross to set them up around the outer side. There really has to be some dare about this.
And McIntosh in the middle.
Ross flings it in deep to give them a look. Mansell got wrestled out of it. Ball lands out in front of Full. He momentarily kept it alive, but to no avail.
So the Bombers are doing what they should do. Fundamentally, they've got more talent out on the grass, but as this has got tougher and tougher, what would be disappointing for Maramuze is that they've stopped looking for options.
Yeah.
They've just become very straight line, long down the line, and stopped trying to find holes in the middle.
Crowd of 76,000 at the MCG. Laverty to right, to centre field. Some very close in tight handballs. Pryor, trot through the square. It did make him a target for a smother like that. And Steely Green was ready and willing. Gets it out of bounds. And so just resuscitating another chance here.
So it looks like Campbell Gray's been moved forward. One of the tools that we've been impressed with down back has played essentially on Nate Caddy. He's gone forward now.
Well done, I would think, for the night. By the look of that. Right, again. Green. Couldn't get past centre field. He's one of the best in the comp.
That is a great tackle, Hunter. Fourth quarter, everyone's a bit weary, a bit tired. And that's about will. It's just saying, I will.
He lives that magic as centre field forward as he kicked it, so downfield it comes.
It's getting a bit untidy here for the Tigers. They don't want to use the youth as an excuse, though.
2 gruelling games to go the distance against West Coast and North Melbourne. They on a 5-day break. Haven't been able to see it out. Lovely chain from the Bombers. Although Dersma had a little fumble. Time to recover and give them a look deep. Guelphy brings it to ground. What do they got? Smith tackled by Martin. Ball loose for a moment. Broad's jump. Strip of it by Perkins. Trainer. Now he'll hope he was over. He wasn't. It's out of the full.
Oh, it looked like he was over the line when his boot made contact, but he's been bent. They are looking very, very ragged now. Well, if his left foot's on the line, the right one nearly has to be, doesn't it?
I think so, Jace, but
Hobbs called into action early as the Sarbies hooking and missing.
the line's been deceptive so far in the 2 games that we've had. There's Sam Lawler, we told you about this 5 minutes ago. A hamstring that he came off the ground with, and the number 1 pick looks like he's falling prey to an injury that's getting a lot at the minute.
Miller settles on long to the wing. Sims as the riser at the back, multiple hands through the legs of Caddy. Tough stuff from centre field. Trainer is still feeling it. Caldwell, bit of handball fun for the Bombers. The setup complete from Merritt. Deep to Kako. A swamp Floston. Smith in one motion, the handball to Rel Smith. Where to next? He's an injured player.
So it's going to be this trainer that had that clash with the centre field before. It's just a stronger body, the more experienced player. It looks like they've clashed heads. But they went out the right way. They both turned side on to attack the footy.
So he limps back into play. Common sense would have been that he'd come from the ground. But
yeah, it's funny, they stopped the game for the injured player for a head knock, and the injured player stayed out there. It's unusual.
Goldstein, tough for Sims. He's got a hand to it. Taranto, crowded out. Martin, dexterous as ever. Hobbs, Dersma, Setterfield, Merritt. They all going to share. Down it goes. Caddy didn't get the access. Perkins, Kako, cornered. Perkins again. Tigers with numbers and determination. Boston comes away. Beautiful connection to Steely Green. He looks ahead. Hopes rise a little. He's put his faith in Mansell. There's no one deep at all. Now they start to fill the 50.
Thank you.
But there is a way to go. McAuliffe thought about it for a long time.
It was a great chain. It was a great chain. It is a great chain. It's just got to be finished off now. It's just what they haven't had. They've come out of that back line on this side of the ground so often in this last quarter, long down the line, but this time they lowered their eyes and did what Jason has been urging them to do.
The Steely Green kick was a rip.
Yeah.
So he's never kicked an AFL goal. He's kicked 5 behind McAuliffe. So we might be adding another to the wrong column.
Nick Floston has come off just then with an ankle as well, so he's been assessed on the bench as well.
Carnage everywhere.
Casualties mounts.
Got to have a level of seriousness of your injury now to be able to come off the ground.
Dersma pumps it around the boundary. Right sees it the rest of the way. The buys start next week, but it is to no avail for Richmond, who go to Sydney to face the Giants. While Essendon are bound for Brisbane on Thursday nights. At the throw-in, Goldstein protected his space. McIntosh goes taken high, surely with his head over the ball. Sims, McAuliffe works it up to Mansell. Too far out himself.
They need to get a quality shot at goal here.
Toronto says go back and see if he can.
Every mark they've taken forward of the ball has been low and off the line.
Ryan Mansell in the family design Guernsey tonight. He's already kicked a goal. He's going to the top of the square. Were they all on the same page? No, they were not.
And that's, when you say off the line, that's the straight line. So that's the predictable place the ball's going, and it gets easy to get picked off by an Essendon defender. If you're going to do that, go on the 45, somewhere where they don't expect it to go.
Redmond's safe hands, and now lengthy kick for Dersma, but Mansell gets it out to the back. Awkward for Miller. Caldwell made it so.
What do you made Essendon, Jace, on the 91-point hiding, coming back? It's been hard work.
It has been, and they've been very scrappy. They're getting now to the stage where they're working the Tigers over, but I probably expected something a little bit more fiery early on, a little bit more imposing. It's taken them a while to get hold of the young Tigers.
So there's the Lawler hamstring injury being strapped. So he's going to sit for a while. It's a long season for young men coming out of under-18 footy. Big long pre-seasons.
Martin to centre field. Slow play, which probably suits Essendon right now. Little gaps appearing. Durham. Kako gives him a nod and a wink at centre half forward. Durham's got gland of plans. It involves Caddy. Can't mark. Hobbs impressive. Gresham didn't connect the handball perfectly, but the job is done. Tigers put out of their misery by Peter Wright.
Good win coming. They've looked tired. They've looked devoid of ideas. Fatigued mentally and physically, the Tigers. And even though they're a man down, because they've got two that are out of commission, the Bombers, they've just looked to have a bit more run, a bit stronger bodies as the game's gone on. And the danger now for the Tigers, you put in a good effort for 3 quarters, you don't want to fall over at the end and get beaten by 40 to 50 points. You want a scoreline that reflects the effort you put in. They've got to hold firm here for the last 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, so the positive for us, and I agree it's been pretty scrappy, but they've been pretty unrelenting. They just push forward. They struggled to hit targets and connect early, but they kept at it. And I guess in their own minds they're going, well, this is a young group. They've got some senior players out. We just got to grind them down, and they've ground them down. And they might enjoy a good 7 or 8 minutes here.
28 points and you fancy growing. Goldstein tried for the clearance. It's too high on Hopper.
Essendon's percentage only 81 coming to this game tonight. It's the 4th worst in the comp.
Hopper gets motoring to the top of the square. There's more to be won. Foal had it picked off. McGrath put it through Clark. Merritts and now Martin, who goes on a bouncing run. Checked his kick for Holtz. Once he got up ahead, tried for Kako. McAuliffe did well. Wins it back for Richmond. Brown and Taranto just straight back inside and favoured Mackay right off the boots.
Yeah, it's a kick that's not helping you forwards.
Switches on. McGrath pounces on it. Pryor with Roberts setting up. That's disposal number 29 coming up. Pryor was pretty eager to get it back. Roberts doesn't oblige. Kako into space for him. Take the territory up ahead for Durham. Not paid as 15. Centre half forward is open for Martin. He's racking them up. Gives it away to McGrath. Spreads. Merritts. The goal front is his. He'll steer it out to Dersma. Choices galore for the Bombers. Gaps opening everywhere.
Yeah, so Merritt's, he's sort of symptomatic of what's happened here. He's up to 33.
You like him at halfback?
Well, I like him anywhere. I think he can play absolutely anywhere. But it's what I'm saying is that in the end, the Tigers have just sort of gone, oh, well, let's play. And he's just been running around. I've been watching him. He hadn't had an opponent for the whole quarter, really.
Hasn't the wing become such an attacking position now? So many opportunities for wingers to hit the scoreboard.
Xavier Dersma, it's usually in pretty sure hands. Not this time. Rams it into the post.
He had a big last quarter too. Xavier Dersma.
Game 98 for Xavier Dersma tonight, so milestone coming for him in the next fortnight. Tom Brown was the target, but Martin, Essendon's top liners, are prevailing the closer we get to the siren. You can count Peter Wright amongst those that have had more and more influence as the game has gone on. He's lining up for his third. His fifth shot for goal.
That wasn't a bad idea from the kick out, but the kick needed to be further out in front, if not hitting grass in front of Brown, and it just didn't get over the top of Martin, who was clever enough to tap it back, control it, and then hit Peter Wright with the kick.
One of the few tall bombers still standing is Peter Wright. For a third.
That's a really good point, I know. When we assess the game, the win is going to be a terrific, well, it's going to be a result that they should have achieved, but gee, there's some damage being done along the way.
Well, amazingly, they'll be in the 8 tonight.
Yeah. Froston sets it up for Mansell. Mansell rolls and goes. Rioli, great reflex mark. Slips the hand past the hopper on the flyby. He could have used Ross. He squeezed the kick. He should have used Ross.
Absolutely should have. That is a regulation hand pass to give, and no reason for Jacob Hopper not to give it.
Now at disposal number 34, he tops all comers. Dersmart racking them up late. So they're going to add the scalp of the 16th place team to that of 18, 17, 15, 14 and 12. So they've made hay with those below them. Setterfield's done his share of hard things across the course of the night. Wright is the target. Miller made the spoil. Underneath, Campbell's been well held. Held in.
Is there enough for Richmond to be bullish about, you think?
I think we've seen signs. I think there's enough young players that continue to show improvement. Really enjoyed Campbell Gray's game tonight. I think he shows a lot. Miller continues to improve in a key defensive post.
Got another 2 of their high picks to come this year. With the long-term injuries and Houghton, Smiley to half forward. Brown off half back. McIntosh just shapes the kick. Green moved it as soon as he got it. On to Broad, they're pushing forward. Mansell again to the goal square. Merritt trying to defend. Four was back there. Was there a hand to it? There was.
Well, that's the template, though. The turn and go on the centre wing gives you a better chance. Now, Four, again, the learnings out of that will be interesting. I don't know what these templates are doing.
Bit of a stoush going on, but
who's got the energy for that at this stage?
Setterfield and Mansell, is it?
That can become expensive.
Running out time. Gaps are opening up in the stands as well as out on the field. Roberts kicks for Guelphy. You have to leap from behind the ruckman. It's off hands and out of play. Schooner tests ahead. This is the live ladder. Hutto referenced. So the Bombers go in. And the trip to Brisbane for Thursday night against the Lions. Setterfield committed to the last. Caldwell knocked off it. Martin. Perkins. Kicks up in the caddy direction. Protected the space but had it banged away by Broad.
While that may be a false reading, they had played one less game coming into this round than most other teams.
And the other thing you've got to take into account is when you're building from a lower base, you've got to take care of those teams below you and then continue to give yourself opportunities to then pick off one or two of the ones above to keep yourself in that eight.
Crowd not quite the record numbers. The weather wouldn't have helped. Improvisation from McAuliffe to Hopper. Still working tirelessly away at the coalface. The ball favoured Perkins through Roberts and Hobbs and Mackay and Merritt again. Possession of 36 from the captain to McGrath. So the leadership of Essendon still running on top of the ground. Redmond missed enough football this year. He's still got the taste for it. Cutting it out to Clark again, I fancy. Instead, Broad brings it into Banks. Austin has the energy to be part of the run forward. Broad to centre half forward, trying to get it to Rioli. It's all a bit slow motion stuff. Got a kick out of there somehow. The wrestle continues. McGrath, the umpire, maybe didn't have the energy to blow the whistle either in the dying moments. It's 16 remaining now. Essendon in their possession mode. Bottom line for Angus Clark. Back to Merritt. They kick the ball backwards more than most teams as they like to build the play up. Sometimes they get trapped. Martin. Possession 34. Become 35 eventually. It's not expressed just at the minute. Kako, he only knows one no. Forward for the Bombers to Durham. And we got one last flourish. We have on the tackle and the wild handball. Scooped up by Green. He runs into some interference. Banks to Floston. Forward go the hands. Forward goes the second time. Robinson's kick. Straight down the throat of the opposition and McCoy.
Final stages to be played out. Brown presents in centre field. Slick with a hand pass to Hopper. Dribbles the kick forward to Fall. Links it up to Ross. Just not as neat as they would have liked. But Ralph Smith should be able to put up the last of the goals for the Knights. Essendon prevail in the dream time. They have their way with Richmond as they have done with the teams below. The Bombers post their 6th win of the season as the young Tiger Cubs just ran out of puff. And that young man knows the toll of a full game of footy, but he's got a lifetime's worth of memories out of his first appearance on the big stage. There were 8 lead changes throughout the night, but once it settled late in the third term, the Bombers progressively edged away. Quarter time 5 points, half time 9 points, three-quarter time 12 points, and 29 at the close. But there is a tale of woe in the aftermath for both sides. The worst of them is Zach Reid, given his history of injury. And all the Tigers, all the Bombers faithful will hold their breath over that in the coming days.
Bit deflating, isn't it, really? From a football point of view, we've seen the best of Zach Reid finally this year. And he's gone down, which we hope is not too serious, but fingers are very much crossed. Young Angus Clark got to play 103 minutes in the end. Just, I don't think that, as much as good a runner as he is, I doubt that was the plan coming in, but they all have to carry a bit more of a load.
No, but it's the dream time match, and this will all be a dream to him. It's one that's come true. He's kicked 3 goals in the first half. He's played the whole game, played more than he probably expected to play. He'd be loving every single second of this. And in the end, I think we got the result that we expected as we head down on field with Eddie Betts.
Just down here with Sam Durham, mate. Super game. How are you feeling?
Knackered, but no, the Tigers are a good outfit. We knew that. It wasn't no team is a pushover these days, so we had to fight it out to the end.
And you went off there. You looked like you had something wrong with your hip or knee. Everything all right?
It was just a quad. It's just a bit of carry on by me.
And when you like playing, you played in the mid, and then you went forward, and you basically turned the game for the Bombers.
Wherever Scotty thinks it's best for me, but I like to try to model my game off Isaac Heaney. So if he goes forward, he's dangerous. So I need to stay consistent throughout the game to be more dangerous, and I think forward and mid does that for me.
How about the debutant today, Angus Clark, coming in, 3 goals, 15 disposals. It's an absolute star.
Oh, no. He's a classic. He's been awesome for our group. Real country lad. He's out in the bush. He's awesome. I think all the coaches get into him for his left hand because he only shears with his right. So, he kicks 3 snags, doesn't need a handball and through the goal. So, he's awesome.
How did you enjoy, obviously, Surdock Nichols round dream time at the G? It's an unbelievable game, and it's amazing to be a part of.
Oh, it's awesome. We're privileged as Essendon to play in Anzac Day in these games, but I think Dreamtime tops it. It's more of a celebration. I love it, so it's good.
Well done, mate. Congratulations on the win and super game.
It's an underused word, knackered. I reckon it's a beauty. He ran himself to a standstill. He was one of the best couple of players on the ground, probably him and Nick Martin, I think, from a Bombers perspective.
Let's get down to the presentation.
Is awarded the Yayukin Award. Yayukin is a word from the Woiwurrung language of the Wurundjeri people, meaning dreaming. To announce this year's winner, please welcome Ani Pam Pedersen, OAM.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all on behalf of my family, the Nichols family, for coming here this evening for the 10-year anniversary of the Sir Doug Nichols Dreamtime game. It's been a wonderful evening for everyone, and for myself, it's been such a pleasure. And I would also like to thank the honorary people who were also here this week enjoying themselves. So this evening, I'm going to present the award, the Iegan Award, to Nick Martin from Essendon.
All right, so while we wait for the commentators to come back, they'll give us a bit of a wrap-up on the game. Nick Martin getting best on ground. Yeah, the umpiring was pretty ordinary last night in some sections. M. King, there's no doubt about that. Wow, Ducky, bad luck with the Tigers. Boston, cheers, go Pies for tomorrow, absolutely. But it was a good game. I tell you what, it was, look, I won't say it was a great game tonight, but it was a fascinating game. Up until the first three quarters, both teams were still in it, fighting it out, who was going to win it. I think the Tigers, they just got a little bit tired in that final quarter, and they were sort of chasing their tails. And, of course, the experience of the Bombers stood up well. Of course, the Bombers only putting on, they put on 2 goals, 7. The Tigers restricted them a little bit to 2 goals, 7, but the Tigers just couldn't score themselves. 1 goal, 2 in that final term. And the Bombers running out 23-point victors here tonight. All right, let's just quickly duck over. We'll have before we wrap this up and get back to the commentators, we'll have a look at some of the stats. Angus Clark, the debutant, fantastic game with 16 disposals. He ended up with 3 goals, 1. Not a bad effort. All those goals coming in the opening half. Peter Wrightwood 2, Nick Martin 2, Archie Perkins, Gull of Durham, Caddy were singles for the Bombers. For the Tigers, we had a few on 2, Tim Taranto, Ralph Smith, Sam Laylaw, looks like he's done a hammy. Looked like he was getting the ice packed on it. Not good news for the Tigers. Mansell Fall with the other single goal scorers, disposal getters out in the ground. Zach Merritt. There we go, Zach Merritt. Well, I thought, either Zach Merritt or Andy McGrath were best on ground, but they gave it to Nick Martin. 37 touches for Zach Merritt. Nick Martin did have 35, 6 clearances, 8 tackles, 2 goals. So they'd probably give it to him. Archie Roberts with 34. Sam Banks was the best for the Tigers on 29. Nick Bloston next best, 24 for the Tigers. There we go, Sam Duran, 26. Let's just roll down a little bit, as you can see. Peter Wright ended up all right with 18 touches, 18 hitouts, 2 goals, 3 for him. Angus Clark, as I said, the debutant there, 16 touches, 14 kicks, 2 handballs, 8 marks, 3 tackles, 3 goals, 1. Mason Redmond, someone said, what's the odds of him getting 20? Well, there we go. He only had 3 in that final term, ended up with 15. Who was the other one we were looking at? I don't know. I can't see him now. I think it was Ryder. Can't see where he is there on the list. He'd be somewhere. Anyway, Mason Redmond. There we go, 15 touches. McIntosh ended up with 15. Goldstein, I tell you what, the big man, he looked a little bit, he didn't have too much run, but he had 38 hitouts, 8 clearances for his 11 disposals. Not too bad. Nate Caddy, just 11 touches, 1 goal, 2 for him. Of course, Maurice Rioli didn't do a great deal when he was on. I thought he might have done a little bit better for the Tigers with his speed that he's got and his exhilaration. Only the 3 touches, 3 handballs for him. The team stats, well, the Bombers ran away with it, didn't they, in the final quarter, plus 100 in disposals overall. Inside 50s, well, both teams had plenty of it. 54 inside 50s for Essendon, 48 there for the Tigers. Free kicks, well, it was just a good game of free kicks. Not much really given, 15-16, all pretty even on that board. Essendon won the hitouts by 26. Wow, the clearances, they end up dominating there, plus 22. Doubling the Tigers pretty much, and got a couple of extra clearances from the centre clearances, did the Bombers 8-6. Stoppage clearances Richmond need to certainly work on that area around the clearances, stoppage clearances. 37-17, got absolutely pummeled in that one. Contested possessions, both teams reasonable there. Plus 20 to the Bombers, uncontested. Well, the Bombers, they had their own way in that final turn. Plus 70 there. High turnover game there tonight. Housemate is, insufferable Tiger supporter. So anytime my Cats get up and the Tigers lose, it's a good weekend. So, I tell you what, that's not good for your Tigers housemate, especially when your team get up and they go down. There we go. Marks, 102.94. Marks inside 50. Not very many marks inside 50 tonight, folks. 8-6. Plenty of inside 50s. 50, around about 50 apiece, and that's all they got. Tackles, there we go. 71.54. Well, the Tigers were on average. Bombers above. Tackles inside 50. 15 tackles inside 50. They did look to be putting a little bit more pressure on inside their forward 50. Tigers, you got to lift there. 2 is just not good enough for a game. And you got to be able to keep it in your forward 50. You got to put pressure on. Let's have a look and see whether this ladder has updated now. Where's Essendon? Essendon's there, so this ladder hasn't updated. There it is. There is the live ladder now. Of course, with Essendon winning tonight and still a game in hand, Essendon move into the top 8 after playing 10. 6 wins, 4 losses, going on to 24 points. I tell you what, it's danger, isn't it? A little bit later on in the season when Essendon and the Gold Coast have still got that game up their sleeve. Tell you what, the teams around them want to see them lose a game or two before they play that extra game. Who's the other one? Richmond down there. Richmond, of course, not winning tonight. They still remain down there in 16th position after playing 11. 3 wins, 8 losses. But that's the expectations of the Tigers for this season. As I said, they just need to get a little bit of their game plan up and running. And look, you know what? Don't be too disappointed if you're a Richmond supporter. Well, they did a fair bit right. They were missing Tommy Lynch, isn't it? Tommy Lynch down forward, their big spearhead. I think he would have made a big difference if they had a spearhead to go down there tonight. That being said, though, the Bombers had 3 massive outs. Oh, no, it was the Tigers, wasn't it? It was the Tigers, wasn't it? Let me just go back. Let me have a look at the lineups. It was the Tigers. That's it. Noah Bolter, Tom Lynch, Toby Nankervis. They're just massive outs for the Tigers. So considering all that, the Tigers did pretty well. I think they would have probably liked to have finished off the game a little bit more or a little bit stronger. All right, let's head back to... No, the Richmond. Hang on. Let's head down to the Essendon theme song.
Well done. We've got a nice old dousing there. So we're hoping to talk to the young debutant who's the story of the night there for the Bombers. Nick Martin was the winner of the Best On Ground Award. How'd you see, boys? Were you in agreement?
Absolutely. Yeah, clear winner, I think, for the case.
All right. Hey, that's enough of me for this evening, but I'll leave the commentators rolling so we can have a little bit of listen to what they say and recap the game. Well done to the Bombers. That's it. M. King. Tigers off the pace. Yeah, they were a little bit off the pace, certainly. Well, they had a bit of a tough game last week, didn't they? But there we go. Oh, there we go. So did the Bombers. I remember the Bombers coming off a shellacking last week. So it was a good way to come back. There we go. I was going to do something and now I've forgotten. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow we've got 3 games coming up for you. Carlton, GWS Giants. All kicks off at 12:35 p.m. Melbourne time. Following that, Hawthorn, Brisbane Lions, and of course North Melbourne, Collingwood, the game after that. They're the 3 games we should be covering tomorrow. So it should be fantastic, 12:35 p.m. It all kicks off tomorrow, folks. There we go. We had the poll tonight, 72% went for the Bombers, so everyone in the poll, in the live chat, they got that one right. What's the stats for Nick Marks? Nick Marks. Nick Marks has just rolled down. Nick Marks. See, where is he? Who's he? You got that right, Nick Marks. Live for Life. Who's that? Nick V. Oh, Nick Vlosten. Is it Nick Vlosten? Hang on. Let me just roll back. Nick Martin. You mean Nick Martin? Hang on. Let me just try all the Nicks for you. Nick Martin was 35 touches, 26 kicks, 9 handballs, 9 marks, 8 tackles, 6 clearances, 2 goals. If that's who you're talking about. Let me just... Or Nick Vlosten from the Tigers. Nick Vlosten from the Tigers was 24 disposals, 17 kicks, 7 handballs, 4 marks, 2 tackles, 1 clearance. There we go. Nick Vlosten, that's who you're talking about right there for the Tigers. 24 touches he ended up with for Nick Vlosten. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, no score for him tonight, but ended up with 24. So he was the second highest disposal getter for the Tigers out there on the ground tonight. The only higher one was Sam Banks, of course, on 29. All right, fellas. Thanks all for coming in. Hey, I'll put it on the commentators and they'll give us a bit of analysis on the game. They're a bit of a wrap up. But if I don't talk anymore, I'll see all you fellas tomorrow. You did a good job, bro, really, with the chat. Hey, thanks, Live for Life. Appreciate that. Try to keep up with the chat. You know what? It's important to keep up with the good folk in the chat as well. There's certainly a important part to the coverage to have everyone in the live chat. All right, fellas and everyone else. Hey, I'll put it back to the commentators and they'll give us a little bit of a wrap-up before we head out on the coverage tonight.
There's guys,
hey, Teddy, g'day.
These guys an impact, and Sam Durham's an impact player. And, I mean, 26 is not a small disposal count, but he can hurt you with 5 or 6 contests, let alone possessions. He breaks the pack open. He might stick a tackle, might be a smother, but it's just bringing extra intensity to the contest, which has been his one wood throughout. I mean, that's the way that he goes about his footy. He wills himself on the contest, and he wills his team into a favourable position, and he did it again tonight.
And he does it. This is the thing that puts him into this cat. This is why I would love state footy to be around, because this is the sort of story where he would go and play footy for Victoria if it was played in 4 weeks' time, and we'd get a greater appreciation again, because if you need someone in a centre bounce to win you a centre bounce, you throw him in there at the centre. You need someone in your forward 50, you throw him there. State game comes around, puts the big V on, you go, hey, have a look at that.
Would you need a second Victorian side for that to happen? Is he going to get a game in the first 22?
He would in mine. Right now.
Probably going to slant towards the big country boys, haven't you, mate? No, he's a ripper, yeah, and you love playing with him. He, to me, I don't know him at all, but from the outside, you think I'd love to play with him.
Yeah, I would too. Good Seymour boy. We are going to get Brad Scott very shortly with Jared Waitley down there in the room. So I wonder what his attitude to this would be. I think you take the win first and foremost, and then you go and unpack some of the other parts of it. I mean, gee whiz, so... Again, I'm looking forward to Ralphie. Zach Reed out with that injury.
That's amazing.
Langford out with an injury.
But despite the Zach Reed going down, I thought the Richmond Tools, the Sims and Falk, they just weren't able to compete often enough, long enough. And that's really in the second half there. The Tigers just lacked a target. They just weren't able to go down the line to anything. And that's where the Bombers were just able to put enough pressure on the ball to turn over. Tigers only had 17 inside 50s in the second half. So they're on their heels for the rest of the night.
Yeah, their big blokes are much better.
Story of the night, Brownie. Give us some background on this young man, Angus Clark, who makes his debut from the moment Brad Scott's face lit up when we talked about him pre-game. We're all interested to see him come out and play. And he comes out and kicks through in the first half.
Yeah, country boy, country SA boy. Comparisons to Mason Redmond look far different to Mason Redmond on the night. He started as a forward, kicked 3 goals by half-time. What a debut. And Brad Scott spoke to us pre-game, didn't he? He said he just provides so much energy and that smile is infectious. And you could tell that, couldn't you, Geordie? It was just fantastic to see. And great craft as a forward. Those contested marks were something you don't see from young fellas.
I think he's actually a wingman. But you're right, he drifted really hard inside that forward 50. I'm pretty sure he's the time trial winner at Essendon, so his endurance base is at the elite level. But I mean, I think in games like this with a big crowd, 76,000 people here, you look to see if these kids are overawed by the situation. It looked like he embraced it. And from the moment where we saw him get his jumper presented, even before they ran out, he was hyped up. And it's just carried into the game.
Your man, the carrot farmer there with him?
Absolutely, yes. Well, Stewie was there. We're going to try and interview him.
We're going to see if we can get a hold of Stewie and young Angus, but we're going to go down the rooms now where Jared Waitley is with the victorious coach, Brad Scott.
Brad, great to have you with us. Angus Clark made you smile beforehand. If he make you smile double now.
Yeah, even more. He's, I said before the game, obviously on air with the guys, that he's just such a likeable guy, and you know, when footy clubs are such great environments, but it's people like him that make it so great. He just makes everyone smile, and he's done it the hard way. He's had to work really, really hard for his opportunity, which I always have a bias for. And you know, I said pre-game that, you know, when we put him into the side, we want him to stay there, and that performance did his chances of that happening no harm.
It's just about the dream debut, isn't it? 3 goals and a win.
Yeah, pretty close. But it was. Yeah, I think the tendency, you kick a couple of goals and you think, well, I'm going to start sort of overreaching a little bit, but he's still a real team player, and you know, I thought he was really unselfish at times tonight as well, and could have had another couple of shots, but you know, was happy to give it off.
What are your overall thoughts on your 6th win of the season?
Oh, it's a grind. I mean, it's and that's, to be honest, that's where we feel we're at. You know, we've got to grind away, and we've got to keep taking steps forward. So. No, it was far from, you know, a perfect performance, and we've got a lot to work on. We're well aware of that, but I think hopefully our supporters' real optimism to see the 6th player debut for our club this year, and you know, the foundations of what we're trying to build here. So you know, we know we're not the finished product, but we just want to keep taking those steps forward.
We wondered what the start was going to look like. Did you get the response that you might have from the hiding last week?
Yeah, it was. Look, I think it's a really proud playing group, and you know, we were really disappointed with our effort in the contest last week, and we were just, you know, soundly beaten by a better side right at the moment. But we probably were. I mean, I thought Richmond and Essendon were both feeling themselves out early. It was like two boxers, you know, sort of sparring, but not throwing any punches. So. Yeah, I mean, all in all, very happy with the performance, but well aware of the work we've got to do.
It's come at a cost. What do you know about Zach Reid at the moment?
Yeah, we're concerned, but it was a precautionary removal from the ground. So he felt his hamstring, but it's not like it was an acute strain. So we're not even sure it's a hamstring strain at the moment. But with Zach, if he feels his hamstring in any way, you know, we just took him off. So, you know, he's obviously worked really hard to get here, had a lot of injuries, but it's just a no risk policy with him.
Is it unsettling for him?
Yeah, and I think that's why when he's unsure with a tight hamstring, we just take it out of his hands. So, you know, fingers crossed that he's okay. Kyle Langford, you know, I think is more likely. He hurt his quad kicking, so whenever you feel your quad in that incident right there, yeah, it's obviously a concern for us.
Just can't get a run at it this year, can he?
No, and it's yeah. I mean, he's not the only one. We're yeah, it was anyone over 192 centimetres is getting injured at the moment. So we've just got to hang in and keep providing opportunities for other players. And you know, it's a challenge, but that's why players like Angus Clark are playing. So. You know, it's frustrating, but there's a silver lining.
So the mid-season draft is this week. What are you likely to do given your ruck stocks and your key position stocks?
Well, the strategy probably just changed tonight. Even though, you know, the injuries that we have tonight aren't long term, but you know, we need to fill some gaps. So yeah, I think we'll have a really long meeting on Monday and finalise that strategy. And the recruiting team have been doing a power of work, but you know, again, 10 years ago, this didn't exist.
Yep.
So at least we have an opportunity to try and find some players, and we all know the success stories through the mid-season draft. So we'll just try and find the best that's out there.
Maybe a closing word on Nick Martin, who wins the Yayukin award tonight.
Yeah, Nick's a really important member of our leadership group. He's, again, another great story, an SSP player who was deemed not good enough to be drafted or rookie. Had to, you know, fight his way through, and really ever since his debut, we're in kick 5, he's He's gone from strength to strength, but he's a really good player, but he's becoming a really good leader for us. So I think that's really, really important.
You've lost nothing, Brad. You've lost nothing from your playing days. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jared.
And yeah, we'll see what happens next.
Cheers. Thank you.
Outstanding work, Jared. There's
Don't argue.
You don't need a press conference. We got that covered. That was
That's good, yeah.
Brad Scott. Don't argue, was it? There was someone getting a bit close.
Seen that a few times. Walter.
Yeah, hey, we've got Stuart Clark and Angus. We're hoping to get both of them up. What do you call him, Walter?
Bradley Walter Scott. It's a great middle name, isn't it?
I'd be thrilled you brought that up again.
Did Walter come out over a couple of beers? Was that an alter ego
Absolutely.
as well?
Yeah, he used to love Walter. Good man.
As I said, Angus Clark, the debutant in the story, and his father, Stuart, we hope to join us. So I wouldn't go to bed just now. I'd stay up and wait for this one. I think, by the looks of it, Stewie was having a couple of Grey Northerns.
Yeah, good time. Yeah, he used to buy calves off my grandfather. And
He used to what?
buy calves off my grandfather.
Hang on, so he worked with your uncle's carrot farm, and he bought calves off your grandfather.
Yeah, and then he'd take him back to Adelaide, except a couple of times he didn't have the ute or the truck, so he put him in the back of the car in spud bags. Spud bags. By the time they arrived, they were out of the spud bags, and it was mayhem.
We had calves running around.
Calves.
Bounced around his car.
In the station wagon. Battle van. Anyway, we'll ask Stewie about it. We might not.
Don't worry, we'll ask him. Stand by. Let's just, in the meantime, celebrate. Actually, in the end, Sam Lawler came off the ground with a hamstring, so it looks like he's going to miss as well. As I said, Johnny Ralph will join us and give us a comprehensive update. But we got a glimpse of just how good he is and how versatile he is. So it's the first play of the day, isn't it? Coming out of the goal square, one-on-one with Labuda. His beautiful body work goes back and slots it. So at one stage, he only had 2 kicks and he kicked 2 goals. But he's going to be on the sidelines for some period of time, one would think.
Now look after him. Be careful with him because this kid has got X factor. We know that he's got the it factor. Knows where the goals are. Like, we just don't see young blokes compose themselves like this. Didn't have a big night, but just those 2 kings, the composure there, and also the body work. To be able to identify that drop zone and take the contested mark as a young player. It is great signs.
I thought
no wonder they're excited about.
Yeah, I thought the other player who is worthy of mention is Campbell Gray. You mentioned a few times just in the contest. He looked really comfortable. He played on Nate Caddy for most of the night, but just a shout out. I thought his game was quite solid.
And Miller as well.
Yeah,
Miller's getting better.
Yeah.
So I think I asked halfway through the last quarter what it meant for Richmond. I think they've got a bit to work with. I mean, that forward group was roaring.
They were so young,
as you'll ever find.
Now remember, they didn't have Nankervis, Bolter, and Lynch.
Yeah.
So probably the 3 most important players, and the big blokes.
When there'll be players that are out of every best 22. Yeah. But when you don't have depth in your list, that exposes you even further. In Richmond, we know, are one of the sides that just do not have depth on their list. So you've got young kids that are coming in, and you could say the same thing for the Bombers, but they're a little bit deeper than Richmond at this stage. So injuries are going to hurt the Tigers more than anyone.
They got Harry Armstrong, they got Gibcus coming back from, they got Smiley that hasn't played yet. They got some absolute quality sitting in the wings. When they moved the footy, it did look okay, and it just as the game wore on, they got a bit predictable and down the line. But there were some exciting passages to play. This one was Ralph Smith, who had a good night, but probably in the end lowered his colours to Clark. He kicked 3 goals on him, but he's a good runner. This is the stuff I like when they go off the line. They don't go predictable, and this is all of a sudden this is a really good passage of play. Essendon can't defend this because they go into areas of the ground that they don't predict, and I guess the more footy they play, this is a good kick.
They stopped giving those little trigger handballs as the game wore on. Yeah, and it might be a little bit of run. They might not have been there as much, but when they were doing that, they were able to get field position. They had 31 inside 50s in that first half. They pressured Essendon's back 6 and really looked like they were in the game as much as the Bombers were, but increasingly the run stopped, the trigger hand stopped, the first give stopped, and then the rest of the game broke down around clearance and contest, it must be said.
I think it will be the challenge for Adam Musa and his coaching staff. If you look at their style, it is quite a sort of one half of the ground style, and try and go through with sort of those forward handballs, a little bit like what Melbourne are trying to eradicate out of their game. I feel like that's a little bit in the Richmond game.
So you think it's more in
the Melbourne style, the old Melbourne style, as opposed to the Damien Hardwick
I still
style.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Like, I think, when they've got the ball, the ground looks really small and they're on the one side and they're probably too scared to get out into the open spaces. I'd love to see them make the ground really big and use their skills.
Well, stand by. We're going back down into the Essendon rooms. A young man that lived his dream today, Angus Clark, has debuted. He's kicked 3 goals and a half, and we've got him and his old man Stuart, who have been hearing John Brown tell us some stories. So we're looking forward to talking to both of them. Angus, first of all, to you, young man. Tell us, was it everything you thought it might be, running out onto the MCG in front of 76,000 and you've kicked 3 lazy ones in the first half? Well done.
Nah, definitely wasn't what I thought it was. But yeah, very, very happy.
Were you nervous at all? Because you didn't look nervous. You look like you're ready to go right off the bat.
Bloody oath, I was nervous.
You sleep last night?
I caught a bit of a wink, but not a lot.
And Dad, Stuart, welcome to you. Are you familiar with Jonathan Brown? Because he's been telling us some stories. I'm not sure we can believe them all.
I've known John Boy since he was about 12.
What sort of a kid was he?
He was a good lad. I'll give him one thing. He hadn't changed.
No, he's pretty down to earth.
I was just telling the boys about the time you bought some calves off my grandfather KP, and you didn't have the ute. You had to put them in the back of the car, and you put them in spud bags to get them back to South Australia, Stewie.
That's correct. Yeah, I had half a dozen in the back of a Barina.
A Barina, did you say?
A Barina.
Oh,
he got him home, though.
Hey, how proud were you, Stuart, sitting there? Were you a bit nervous?
I was like a cat in a hot tin roof, mate. Yeah, no. Oh, proud as punch. His mother and I reckon it's gold. We reckon it's gold.
Yeah, it's gold.
Stuart, I don't want to take you for much of a hugger, but when the boy came in the rooms, there was hugs all around.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a big hugger. I'm not big at crying. I'm not a real man, I know. But I must admit, I had half a tear, and I was, when he left home to come to Melbourne, I had a tear, so it's changed me a bit, I think.
He lost a worker, that's why.
Correct call. I lost half my work for.
Boys, do you used to pay you, Stewie, or Angus, or not?
I pinched a few cows and calves off him and then sold them on him, so it's all right.
Sure, you spoke briefly about it, but obviously, you spend a lot of time with your family and your kids, and they grow up, and then it's the time to hand them over. So you've handed them over to the Essendon Footy Club, and now you see a young fellow out in the MCG. It must be just a pinch yourself moment to have shared that, and to see him go so well.
Oh, all I said to him was just get a kick. We kept getting them. I was, proud as punch. Yeah, you can't put it in a. Yeah, I don't know how you explain it. It was amazing.
We can see it on your face, Stuart. It is a fantastic thing. We watched it all. The reactions in the crowd. We got shots of you and the whole family. It was absolutely magnificent. Here's Jordan Lewis. He's won 4 premierships with the Hawthorn Footy Club.
A good Southwest boy as well. Angus, just
Warrnambool boy.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
He's the opposition.
That's right. We're South Warrnambool boys, aren't we, Brown?
That's right.
Didn't you played under Noel Muggerman at one stage, Brownie's uncle?
Yeah, that's right. I did.
What was he like as a coach?
He was a good coach. He was a good coach.
Hey, Angus, anyone that we speak to at Essendon prior to this game, whenever your name was mentioned, a smile was brought to their face. How important or how easy it has it been to come into the AFL system to Essendon, but yet still be yourself and bring joy to the football club?
Yeah, that was the main thing that I probably prided myself on coming to the footy club. It's not changed from a country kid. And yeah, that's just the main thing. I brought the country values, and yeah, didn't want to change one bit.
And how many people came tonight, Stewie? How many tickets or how many family members were around you?
There's 12 of us. Yeah, we got 12. And I think he had a few for his mates. I don't know, you got about, what do you got, 10, 15 of your mates?
Half a tent and all.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't bring tent, we brought Mount Gambier, I think.
And how do you celebrate, Stewie, back in your day after a big game? How did you used to celebrate?
We don't really want to talk about things like that. No, I don't think that goes on now.
No,
we'll be a bit more sedate, I think.
Heard a few stories. What are you up to? So
we don't need to hear any stories.
Angus, can you tell us a story about your old man?
Nah, I can't, but we've got plenty on the farm that we can tell.
Hey, Angus, what's the best thing about being an AFL player, AFL footballer?
Just living out my dream and inspiring the young kids from back home and the ones that live far away that a dream's possible no matter where you live. So yeah, that's just the biggest thing that I want to bring to the AFL and promote to the country kids.
Just take it on, take it on.
Take it on, absolutely. Now, I remember doing a few marking contests with the old man out the front of the carriage shed, mate. He was pretty handy at it. When he wasn't playing for South Wonnell, he'd knock us young blokes over. Could you beat him in the backyard in the one-on-one marking contest? Because you certainly handled yourself beautifully tonight, mate.
I don't know. He's a bit dirty these days since I'm getting a bit on him. But yeah, he grabs the ears, grabs the nose these days. So I'm not sure if we're about to beat him.
I'm still trying to teach him collateral damage, Brownie. You've got to create collateral damage.
So, Stuart, when you see a young fella run around, how much of the things you might have taught him out on the farm are you seeing in his play, or are you giving all the credit to the Essendon coaches?
Well, the one thing that I've preached, and I think he has listened, is when you get it, make sure you try and use it. Don't waste it. And don't overuse the ball.
That's sound advice there, Stuart. You can join us up here in the commentary box any time with that. Hey, are you a wood chopper, Angus? Did I hear that right or not?
Yeah, I'm a wood chopper, but yeah, definitely shearing a sheep didn't come out handy on the footy field, that's for sure.
What sort of wood you chopping? A bit of yellow box?
Nah, a bit of stringy bark, mate.
Can you get Gaz some? You're coming into a cold winter.
I'll double the price now.
I think we've witnessed the birth of a cult hero. Hey, the joy on your face when you're playing is it's a great reminder for us old blokes that sit up here and watch it, and it makes us want to play again. And Stuart, for you and your family, it looked like one of those nights that you're going to remember forever. So congratulations from all of us here at Fox Footy. It's been absolutely magnificent to have a chat with you tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers, fellas.
Good on you, Angus.
Thanks.
Oh,
Yes.
that is.
Yeah, good.
That just warms me.
Hey,
Absolutely, yeah.
that should
It's
be
beautiful, isn't it?
That should be something that we continue to do with the first gamer. Get his old
Yes,
man or a family
absolutely.
and do that interview. That's golden.
I'm not sure many of the old men's with the Deputons left.
Have got a
half a dozen
stories.
calves in the back of the breed.
Barina.
In a
Like,
breed.
you gotta say, like, you talk about
a station wagon.
talk about players that run around with a smile on their face, just love the game. Still Sidebottom was that. Like way back when, late 2009 it was. And he ran around the track with a smile on his face, country kid, and he still does to this day. We've all got memories of people that are like that. If that kid's doing it, that's worth everything in a footy club.
Imagine what Todd Goldstein would feel when he sees that. And he goes out and does a 37, he wants to keep going, doesn't he?
Greater gratitude for the game, because you're reminded that that's that childish sort of enjoyment that you're supposed to have for it.
It's a great reminder for us all just how fortunate we were to have played, and we're going to watch that man young man with great interest. Let's get back down to the Essendon room. Sean and Eddie have got the medalist, Nick Martin.
Nick, this must be a different feeling to last week. So take us through the rundown from last week's game against the Bulldogs, where you obviously lose, and then the review, and then how do you turn it around tonight?
Well, I think the main focus was our intent to tackle and sticking our tackles as well. Last week we missed way too many. Our efficiency of our tackles was 40%, which is just not good enough for AFL football. So there's a big focus going into this week, and I thought we executed well.
And we talk about the debutant, Angus Clark, coming in. He's got his whole family here, all from the country. To come in and play like that, 3 goals won, 15 disposals, he's an absolute star.
Oh, he was, and he played his role to perfection. A big country kid in the big smoke, so he was great. He's a young Redmond, we call him, Pup, so he was great. For a young kid to come in like that, such a big game and special occasion, and perform his role, I can't speak highly enough of him.
Yeah, and just speaking of a young Redmond, we just saw Redmond went off at half time when the game was three-quarter time. He ran straight into the toilets, came off, hold his guts, and I just spoke to him just then. He said, mate, if I farted, everything would have broke loose.
Yeah, I don't think his guts were too good in the 100 litre. It wasn't the most pleasant smell, but I don't know what's going through him.
But just talk us through a couple of the positional changes. It looked like his skip tonight was holding more of a defensive quarterback role and feed back and then go forward, and Durham seemed to go forward, have a really big impact as well.
Yeah, and I think with Zach, and I think of the night, wet, rainy conditions, you distribute on the outside and you let your bulls go to work on the inside. So Durham, Colwell, Perkins, put them on ball and let them go to work, and then distribute it to Zach, who showed tonight he never disappoints. It's a beautiful kick.
Yep, and 35-2 for yourself. What did you do this week differently to last week? Obviously on the back of a loss, to set yourself up Friday night footy to have a big one.
Well, it's so important to respond individually. It wasn't pleased with my performance and how the team performed, but yeah, it's the AFL cycle. Some weeks are low, some are high, so trying to keep it smooth sailing.
And well, congratulations on a big win, and for yourself as well, BOG. Good work.
Thank you.
Great result, well played. Nick Martin, best on ground tonight in the Dreamtime game. Let's go to Johnny Ralph. Ralphie, some carnage for both teams. Let's start with the Bombers. What can you tell us?
Absolute chaos. So that mid-season draft is on Wednesday. It's now an absolute necessity for the Essendon Football Club rather than a luxury. I've got 4 picks right now, and I think that they will use them all. So Kyle Langford, as you heard there from Brad Scott, it's not just a quad injury to the kicking leg. It was done when kicking, and that means that potentially a 2 or 3 weeker might turn into a 4 or 6 weeker. We've seen with Brett Deledio, we've seen with Jordan Ridley over the last few years. You know, they're the kind of things where you try and put all that torque and force through them, and it goes again, and it's a 10 or 12 week absence. So they will not be able to push the envelope with him. Now, Zach Reid, I've spoken to Essendon. Now, this time last year, he had a little hamstring concern, and they put him back onto the field, and it went on him straight away. So he was spoiling. He felt it. They've taken him off. I think there's a hope that he's avoided hamstring damage. I don't think there's any confidence in that. So the scans tomorrow will tell the tale there. There are amazing stories that will come up on Wednesday night with those picks. We've seen Charlie McCartan. He might be one of the guys that gets a crack at it playing VFL right now, former Colac boy. We've seen Archer Mays, who's played for Richmond's VFL side. Dermot Britton's had a heap to do with him. Braden Crossley, Ollie Eastland. The positive is that Darcy Parish comes back tomorrow in the VFL. Dylan Shield plays in that side. Elijah Sardis as well. I don't need midfielders. They just need key position tools right now with 9 injuries to key position tools on the list. But guys like Charlie McCartan, I mean, they might be recruited on a Wednesday and playing the next week. There's some pretty cool stories that will be given life on Wednesday's mid-season draft for Essendon.
Yeah, it is. We'll watch with interest. They're out there. There is no question at all that those sorts of players are out there and capable of playing good senior footy relatively quickly. Zach Reid, I'm hoping that what Brad Scott said might be true, that they've been uber cautious. Yeah. And when you've had the history that he's had, I guess you feel it for the first time, you can err on the side of caution.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. They would have felt like they were going to get the game under control if they hadn't already through that third term. And you just got to have a no-risk policy on that. So to take the young fella off, he's been excellent for you. So if it is an injury, just don't make it worse. And we're not going to sort of, we feel like we've got the game under control, so we're not losing much.
He's certainly developing confidence. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all started.
Yep,
he's developing confidence though. Just watching tonight live, you get a chance to just watch him for a while in isolation, and he's getting more and more confidence with the physicality of the game as well.
Adam Uzo rated him. Luke Traynor went to him there at the start of the game. Yeah. So let's go back to Ralphie. Tigers also haven't escaped unscathed.
No, and it's the number 1 overall draft pick in Sam Lawler. He was near the bench. He felt his hamstring go. He said immediately to the doctor, Greg Hickey, hamstring, went down to the rooms. We didn't see him anymore. Spoken to Tim Livingston, the club's football boss, pre-match, and he said the entire philosophy about these young kids, and they've got 7 first-round draft picks, is that if they have injuries, we back them right off. They're doing it to Josh Smillie right now with a little mini pre-season off his own hamstring concern. So, look, he is a rising star contender. We might not see him for 4 or 6 weeks. It's just the way they're going with these young kids. Tards Houghton is another one coming off an ACL. So Thompson Dow was also subbed off. We're not sure of the extent of that knee injury. There are returning troops. So Tom Lynch with that concussion has pulled up well. He will play against GWS next Saturday. So will the captain in Toby Nankervis. The curiosity is Noah Bolter. So, of course, he's out with that curfew. They're playing a night game next Saturday. The club would love to get him to play a curtain raiser at 12:30 against GWS. The question is, can they get him back tucked up in bed by 10 o'clock. They're working through the logistics of it. They're looking through multiple flights. Is the weather going to be bad? Is there any chance that he could play that game and be stuck up in Sydney there? So, look, it's not a necessity, but I'd love to get a game into him before he comes back for round 14. But at least some of those trips are returning. And Dion Prestia back through the VFL off his Achilles issues as well. So, potentially all of Dion Prestia, Lynch and Nankervis back for that GWS clash next week.
Good news. Well done, Ralphie.
Wonder if they thought about playing Noah Bolter for 2.5 quarters and sending him home. It would have been tabled at match committee at some point before being
It's a unique
whacked.
It's a unique circumstance. I'm not sure. Maybe they will. That would
There is a sub.
some sign of desperation.
Use the sub in any circumstance. You use it as a tactical
Go
sub.
hard for 2 quarters.
The curfew sub.
Getting tucked up.
The other one with the injuries, this always happens. There becomes a spate of injuries around this time when the weather turns the first time and we get cold. I would push the mid-year draft back a couple of weeks because I reckon if you're a club now, you're going to get injuries and we're going to see a spate of them over the next couple of weeks. You've got to make sure that you've got your full quota as much as you possibly can.
All right, you might pick that up with Jared Waitley, who's going to join us on the other side. Johnny Ralph's going to be here as well.
Where are you going?
I'm going to go down and do some homework with Stewie Clark.
Going to buy some calves and put them in the back of it.
A load of wood, a load of stringy bark off Angus. Super Saturday coming up. It's going to be a beauty tomorrow.